Okay, commencing transmission. We're broadcasting this over Twitch on the interwebs. It is not important who I know who we are. First, our goals. Watch everything wrong with. Second, we want to discuss all of the sins that are in the video and correct mistakes. And last, we want to find out all of the cut sins that I had planned beforehand. Let me tell you what's going on right now. This stream is overrun with people in the chat wanting to watch the video with me and hear some behind the scenes information. This is no isolated incident. In spite of that, the comments continue to rage on the video. Not many people know this, but Twitch is one of the biggest broadcast systems in the world. In theory, its transmissions cover entirely the globe. We've jacked its signal in order to reach out to you. Hi guys. I feel like shit. And I'm going to be clearing my throat a lot. I might sound stuffy. I might sound like I'm half dead. I feel that way. I might like go off camera to like blow my nose or sneeze or something. Because God, I started off 2020 sick. Yay. Yeah, Warrior, I would have been a slightly more dedicated if I had woken up earlier and like written out a script. God. Yeah, I feel terrible. Oh shit. That was a little loud. Let me turn down my volume. Alpha Chernovac? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for subscribing. Wait, hold on. You subscribed! Dude! I saw that as a follow. I don't know why there was a zombie. I need to update my alerts. Was that a subscription? No! Why does the stream say it was a subscription you followed? Alpha Chernobyl, thank you for following. Welcome to the stream. I don't know why it says a subscription. That's weird. I need to fix that. In the meantime, I'm going to turn it off because I guess that's been giving us wrong alerts the entire time. I'm going to disable the alert box for now. I'm sorry, but wow, that is bad. That is wrong. That first of all, that is not the image I wanted. And second, that was a follow, not a subscription. Thanks, Twitch or Streamlabs or whoever the hell. Oh lord. I took some Dayquil. Still feel like shit. So, Warrior, hello, Starscream, Golduka, Calamitous, Solatus, you are dead. Hi everyone. Token Black Guy, thanks for all the well wishes. Captain Mimtias Torres. Nicola Cello. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna mute my mic when that happens. The latest Twitch alerts are connected to our force via Twitch servers. They're reliable, so trust your screens. Chess, I'm sad to hear. May is sick as well. And she has it worse than I do. Which is always super fun. I hate this. Anyway. Yeah, I'm sure I look like crap right now. So I'm sorry guys. I know that Uh, Shut up, Stinky. Thank you for following. Welcome to the stream. Um, we are going to try to power through this. If I feel like my throat can't handle it, we will stop. Um, I know a lot of you guys were looking forward to this stream. Again, I just like everything wrong with. I'm sorry it was so late. I'm sorry the stream, um, is like this. So, um, you look like Matias Torres. Hi, Samus. Thanks. Um, we'll watch the video. We'll, my grandma is sick, but worse, as she went to the doctor to the hospital for some medicine, and now she's home so she can rest. Damn, Starscream. I hope she gets better. Should down some cold medicine. I already took Dayquil. Okay. So, I want to mention that if you guys have any questions or comments about specific sins in the video, for those of you who have watched it, I don't know if any of you haven't watched it yet, but if you have anything about a specific sin, wait until we get to that sin. Um, Otherwise, if you have general questions, um, or like if you have questions about a particular mission, wait until we get to that mission in the video. But if you have any kind of general questions, I'll take those. But we're gonna go through the video one by one. We'll talk about what's in there. We'll talk about what's not. I have the uh, unedited script sitting in front of me on Google Drive, so I already see some of the cut sins in there. So Golem 1 launching Tylenol. You are dead. Roger that. They said the enemy is you know who. Jaime. The medicine was ineffective. It still wouldn't let him stream to his full potential. That's exactly what I feel like. The sin is apparently you know who. Ugh. I knew you guys would have my door kicking back. uh, I'm glad you at least made it to the stream, May. I hope you're resting. We'll talk later, but I hope you're doing at least any better than you were this morning. Oy. Okay, guys, let's do this. I'm curious, has anyone here not seen the video yet? Not that I like I understood like, oh, you had to release it on New Year's. I know, but I needed it to say 2019. I needed it. I didn't ask you if you've seen it. I asked you if you haven't. I mean, I thank you. Thank you for watching the video. You know, this is actually a funny thing. With these videos, um, I don't make them for the community. I don't make them for even really like to grow my channel. Um, I make them because I want to. Because this is exactly why I did everything wrong with 5. Um, I've only done more since then because everyone else has loved them, but I also want to do all the games eventually. Um, I love CinemaSins. For every one of my favorite movies, I always look at what CinemaSins has done, and I really like I get really disappointed when I watch a movie, excuse me, and I go to CinemaSins and they haven't sinned it. Usually they don't do animated movies, and I'm disappointed by that. Um, I know some people don't like the humor. Um, I had to actually ban a couple people from the YouTube channel during the premiere and the comments. because they were straight up attacking the idea of the video, and that's not what I wanted. But I'm not making these videos. It sounds self-centered, but I'm not making these videos for anyone except myself, because I love CinemaSins and I love like that kind of sarcastic like criticism um for something that I love. Like I love Ace Combat, and I certainly really like 7. It's certainly up there in my tier of Ace Combat games. Um Despite what everyone says about the story, I really enjoyed the story. I mean, yes, there's flaws. I point out some of those in my video. Um I'm not blind, but I still really love this game and this franchise, and I hope that everyone understands it's completely sarcastic, it's completely comedic. Like, the last thing that I want is for Bandai Namco to look at that and think, no, he hates us. Which is funny because they did invite me to do a live stream with Ace Combat Fan after I've already done everything wrong with 4, 5, and 0. So, um, but hey, I've played my fair share of CNET. Oh, Warrior. Oh, there's a blast from the past. We still have, I think, CNET Harry Potter, which only goes as far as, like, the third movie, or the fourth movie. I think it was the third movie, actually. I saw a lot of people talking about 444. Like, why didn't I make the Sins 444? I'll be honest. Um, the reason that I was not going to make the Sins 444, because that would force me to add a lot of sins, like, that I either wasn't happy with, or to artificially raise the number. And um I mean, I do that to a certain extent anyway when I'm editing, but I I didn't want to force that number to happen. I'm kind of surprised I went as high as 380. I didn't expect to go that high. Um what I was planning, some behind the scenes stuff for you. That's what this stream is about. I was planning on a bonus round, and that's probably like one of my that's probably my biggest regret about the video. Each of my everything wrong with videos, I have some regrets for sure. Anyone who makes art will tell you that, um, anyone who makes any kind of media will tell you there's always something, and I can't patch a YouTube video like you could patch a video game. But there was a bonus round planned, and I don't know what I would have done. Like, I was not positively sure what I would have done, but I wanted a bonus round. So, actually, let me catch up with the chat before I continue. Will you make everything wrong with X? Token Black Guy, I've been rolling the idea around in my head recently, for both X and 3, because those are the two games you can understand that uh, are unique in mission design and therefore sins. How would I, like, I've been thinking in my head about how I would do that. I have ideas, but I do want to. Um, Nicola, if it's very late there and you're tired, go get some rest. You can watch this stream archive on YouTube. I personally don't jive well with Cinema Sins at times. I jive better with Cinema Wins. But you put a spin on this that I prefer to actual Cinema Sins. Warrior, I think it was Legend Rosgriz that was actually planning on doing everything great about the Ace Combat games in response to my videos. And he asked me for his blessing, and I told him, please go for it. If someone did an everything great about Ace Combat, I would love it. And I would show it the same amount of support as my own videos because um, there's always room for praising these games, and this is all of my videos come out of a place of love for this franchise. So anyone that would do an everything great about the cinema wins for these games, I would totally 110% fully support it. Um, the reason I don't make them myself, how long did this take? Like to like duplicate the work that I have to do. So if anyone else ever feels up to the task, please go ahead. I would love it. Um, but I love this kind of sarcastic comedy. I don't know if that's even like a term, but we'll go with it. Sarcastic comedy. The only people who get pissy about the videos are just too stupid to read the disclaimer at the start. Yeah, May. Funny thing, like for this video, I was considering fading out that disclaimer, except leaving the word comedy for a few more seconds, or like making it bigger or something. I did consider doing that. Um, Ultimately, I didn't, but Nicola, you'd be surprised. I'm sure someone will appreciate that work. I'm sure. Hey, Sky Shadowing. One nitpick not with you, but with the entire video game industry. Nobody understands that dressing up your planes or soldiers and then firing on enemy soldiers while wearing those uniforms is a serious war crime called perfidy. What are you referring to? Are you talking like, um, 'cause I don't get what you mean. Like, dressing up your planes or soldiers? Like, do you mean stealing the enemy's uniforms? Because that's, what is that? That's called, what is that, red flag? No. Is it a red flag? What am I thinking of? It's a term that uses the word flag in it. I'm sick. Forgive me. Do you think Project Aces has anything planned for the 1 year anniversary for 7? I don't know what they would have planned. You know, it can't be DLC because the season pass is done. And if they wanted to do a second season pass, they would have to announce it in advance. So it's already January 2nd. Um, I don't see them announcing DLC, but if they do something, I'll be very interested to see what it is. False flag. Thank you, thank you. That was the term I was looking for. False flag. An Area 88 collaboration would probably be a DLC. Again, I don't know if that would be in the cards because Bandai Namco seems to be putting all of their recent game DLCs in season passes. Soul Calibur, Tekken, and Ace Combat, obviously. False flag, but specifically, you're allowed to disguise yourself as an enemy combatant, but you're not allowed to shoot while in the uniform or bearing their emblems. Well, yeah, Sky Shadowing. That's false flag. In fact, we actually, as the player, you're forced to do that if you stick with UPO in Ace Combat 3. You perform a false flag attack. I think you fly Newcom aircraft with Newcom livery, and you lead an attack on General Resource, and they use that as like, oh, this furthers the war, like because Newcom attacked General Resource. Hi Parfait. But Sky Shadowing, I don't recall when when do we uh when do we pull off a false flag? I don't remember doing a false flag attack in unless you're talking about the drones, in which case, yeah, yeah, I mean, th- the point of 7 is that war is hell. Like Ace Combat has always been about war is hell since 3, since we first got a story. Um, it it really went into like it really became the theme in 5 and 0. We left it for 6, we left it for X, but War is Hell was the biggest theme in 5 and 0. And to an extent 4, but 7 takes it to the next level. Um, and there's a reason for that. War is hell. You know, this kind of thing happens. People do it. Um, so yeah, Grabark Squadron did that as well, posing as Ocean. Well, actually, the funny thing is that they were Ocean. They were an Ocean squadron. It's just that most of the military, for some reason, couldn't identify them, which is stupid. But war has rules, but not everyone follows them. Like Sky Shadowing, I'm interested in the fact that you're mentioning the uh taking the Ocean emblem and firing on Oceans when Erusia took civilians into firing lines, including children, and murdered them, even in front of their princess. Like, your problem is the emblem. I'm looking at the civilians that were murdered. I mean, Parfait, Token Black Guy is just again, like most of this video, it's a joke. It's sarcasm. Wiseman was actually one of the best characters in 7, I think. He had a lot going for him in terms of personality. So no, he wasn't just a token black guy, but you know. Also, to you guys that were talking about the DLC, yes, like I am going to make a DLC video, but don't worry about it. That'll be later. um. Oh yeah, we could also put on any emblem we want when we finish the campaign. No, Solitus, that would not be false flag. Um, the F-16 thought that uh, the transport carrying Labarth, the helicopter, um, they thought that Carl was a traitor or something like that. Um, so no, that wasn't false flag. God damn it, Argus. Yeah, that was just misinformation. That was friendly fire. False flag is not friendly fire. Uh, well, actually, it could be because let's take an example like people always the paranoid people always believe that there are false flag operations that the United States pulls on its own troops. So that kind of thing would be friendly fire, but uh, that was an Ocean firing on an Ocean. There was nothing special there. It was just a breakdown of communication. Uh, Sky Shadowing, the drones posing as Ocean didn't happen until I want to say Faceless Soldier was the first. Um, but no, they didn't start since day one. Erusia did start with the moral high ground, though. Okay. Guys, you're going to have to tell me if... Actually, that's probably bad. Let's not do 1440. Let's do... will it load? Uh... Yeah, why not? Oh yeah, you're right. They started in rescue. Well, we'll get to rescue. There's actually a big discussion about that. We'll see. Yeah, Mage and Golem sucked into the vortex of unneeded. Wait, hold on. Let me. Why is the audio from the video not playing? Guys, are you hearing the audio? No. Huh. Why isn't that working? It's not ECCM. Relax there. Let me try that. And then... Whoa, too loud, too loud. Sorry, I destroyed your eardrums. I got it working. I found it. Still no audio? How is it no audio? Wait, you guys still don't hear it? OBS is telling me that it's going through. What the hell? I can hear it. Streamlabs can hear it. You guys can't hear it at all. Why? Streamlabs is picking it up. Why is it not... No. We're gonna go with audio. Solitus, I have to hear my own voice. I'm very self-centered. I'm very sensitive to that. Please let me have this. I need to hear myself. I need to... God, no. I hate hearing my own voice. I'm doing this for your benefit. If you guys don't care, we won't bother, but I did want to at least have audio for your benefit. If it's not gonna work, though... But why? Let me try loading, instead of the embed, let me try loading the actual page. Let's put 1920 by 1080. Interact, pause. Can we make that full screen? No. Okay. Oh, there we go. You know, Sly, if you want to listen to Sly, you can subscribe to Sly Cooper Fan 1 on his Twitch channel to support him. Thanks, Warrior. Thank you. Guys, let me know if this works. Did you hear those? No? Oh my god. Hey, HB Mobius. No, you haven't missed anything. Oh, I thought that was Ace Combat Fan on the right side for a second. Why is Mr. Bean? Why is there a Hindi movie? Why is Flappy Bird? What is with these? I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Formidable! Thank you for resubscribing. If you didn't have the first badge, I think you would have gotten like a new rank insignia. But thank you so much. I think you guys should be hearing it now. Solitus, I'm not... You hearing it? Good. Solitus, I'm not signed in. This is anonymous, like, because it's through Streamlabs' browser. It's not through my browser. So you're looking at, like, what... Because see here, there's a sign in at the top right. This is Streamlabs' built-in browser. So this is just a general recommendation. Everything is quiet before we hear that, "Get out of there, you're gonna get fried!" Or to prepare the shock cannon. Okay. Whoa! I didn't want to do that. That's what I wanted to do on my screen. There we go. Okay. The annoying thing is that I can't... I don't know how to get rid of the... like, bars on the bottom and top. I don't know if there's CSS to do that because I can't use JavaScript. Hold on a second. I'm a professional streamer. Shut up. And I'm sick. Shut up. YouTube CSS remove title? No. No, that's an embed. Wait, the embed works now. Because... yeah, hold on. Because I figured out the sound problem. So let me try... this. That didn't work. Well, it got rid of the controls. But it didn't get rid of the top. That's fine. As long as it got rid of the controls at the bottom so you guys can see the subtitles as well. Don't confuse sickness with a hangover. Hush. Yep, okay, you guys can still hear it. Let me bring down the volume. Wait, hold on. They couldn't use a new sound effect? They had to take Ace Combat 6s? Unfortunately, like, now that I've done that, that's going to be a thing now. I think Infinity reused 5s. But I don't... was it 5s? No. Infinity... sorry, no. Infinity reused Assault Horizons. But it reused 5's menu theme. Someone said, I think 6 reused Zero's sound effect for entering. That's not correct. I don't think so. No, it's not. Solitus, how does Twitch tickets work? You just earn them through watching, subscribing, supporting, things like that. And you can use them for rewards. That you can click on the tickets to redeem. If I may ask, guys, I probably prefer no silly hat overlay for this stream only because I'm sick and I don't want to do even more work. I know Infinity reused everything. I know. That was the point. I know. Okay. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned that I made this a prerequisite sin now, but I think Infinity is the only other example. No, please, no hat. I thought this was Ace Combat, not Macross. I'm not so sure about this one because I wanted to make the Macross reference somehow. I'm not sure if I actually should have made this a negative sin because it's actually a really clever reference given this game's theme. But 1 million hats.
Does the color of the sky mean anything special to you?
Narration. Narration is just a running sin in Cinema Sins, so I had to. I had to. The funny thing is, we've had narration like in most excuse me, in most Ace Combat games, so this is nothing new. But I don't know. I just put it in there. Oh, thanks, ACF Nugget. I'm glad you enjoyed. Not only is Avril now blind, but so are the rest of us. I hope you enjoyed being able to see. Remember when the glorious, unfallible current president of the United States looked up at a solar eclipse and pointed at it with a smile? That's what this reminded me of. She's looking at the sun. Why? You are dead. I should have put my eyes in here as well. That's a missed opportunity for the bloopers.
Gramps was really good friends with the super there, so he got to take whatever he wanted, no questions asked.
I have a question. Aerial combat is key in Strange Reel. Don't you think Osea would wonder why there's so much activity at their scrapyard, or why so many parts are suddenly missing? Satellites are a huge theme in this game. None of them could see the large burst of activity at the scrapyard? A fair response to this is that it was a scrapyard for a reason. No one cares, but yeah, I just gotta wonder, like, you'd think Osea would have known about people around there. Can you make it a bit louder? Sure. Hey, Manny. Also, we already did miss, I had a cut sin, when Avril says, when I close my eyes, the sky in my dreams is a deep dark blue. My first cut sin was, newsflash, it's the same color when you open your eyes, too. I got rid of that because it's not actually. Deep dark blue is all the way when you're near the stratosphere, not not on the ground when it's bright blue or sky blue or when it's sunset when it's orange. But yeah, that was the first of the cutscenes.
I was at the air.
Oh, also, the second cutscene was lying smack dab in the middle of the desert west of here. There's a bunch of planes from the last war. Um, I had a sin that said, I don't remember a desert anywhere in Osea, and I definitely don't remember Osea using insert old aircraft here in Ace Combat 5, because there are a lot of older aircraft at that scrapyard. Certainly the F-104, but I think the Aardvark was there. I know there were a bunch of like old aircraft, and it's awesome because they all of this was real life photographs for the scenery at the scrapyard, so that's freaking awesome. But Osea didn't use those aircraft in the last war, so when I close my eyes, the sky is a deep dark blue. That's not how eyes work. Yeah, but again, like there's a lot of old aircraft, and there's no way Osea used those uh in the Circum-Pacific War.
Airstrip doing some flight training.
In what aircraft? Like, what aircraft is she doing flight training in? Or is like is flight training supposed to refer to like the preparations for takeoff? But still, you need an aircraft for that, don't you? How can you do flight training without an aircraft?
It took 6 years and 8 months to get that engine running.
What the hell were you doing that it would take over 6 years to get a plane engine going? You're telling me there wasn't a single running engine in the entire scrapyard? I have gotten comments about like, yeah, it takes many years to get an engine going, so um but I don't know if I like believe that there were in that whole big scrapyard. It was massive. That was a massive scrapyard. There was like it still took them 6 years? I don't know. Um You Are Dead 316. The final option happened north of Sand Island. If I look at the map, yeah, very, very far north. The Solo Islands are closer to Estevacia than Sand Island. That's how far north the Solo Islands are, and that is not the desert that Avril is talking about. Um, so no, Osea has at least two scrapyards. What Captain, what plane are you talking about? Like, why are you mentioning the Hawk? Yeah, like, well, shut up, Stinky. The thing is, like, that's implying you have all the tools and spare engines and all the correct parts. But, you know, they were at a scrapyard, so they did have to put things together. But still, 6 years, especially for, you know, seasoned pilots. Like, you'd think they'd know something. I don't know. No, 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 Captain. He was talking about the scrapyard in Final Option. I hate being sick. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I to me, again, I'm a civilian. I have never worked on an aircraft. I wouldn't know. But 6 years does seem like a long time. I hope you guys like seeing Avril playing with her fingernails. We get to see this weird shot a lot. So, I didn't even think about this blooper until, like, I think the video was rendering. Um, but I. There was, what was it? I think it was a SpongeBob episode where they were doing the fry cook games, and Patrick was making fun of SpongeBob for polishing his fingernails. Um, he was like, "Fingernails, fingernails, fingernails." Maybe I should have put that as a blooper, but I didn't think of it until too late. Fingernail fetish? Ew. I thought Avril said she was alone now. Who are these chumps? Yeah, I mean, someone answered this for me. Um, this was actually a sin that I wasn't sure if people would be like, "Oh my god, she can't fly on her own. She has to have someone." Like, and the scrapyard had a super, so maybe there were a couple of employees, but she did say, but now like I went from a little girl to, well, still a girl, just older, but now I was all alone. She still had people with her who could corroborate her story. So, um also another cutscene. Um what was it? Oh, I went from a little girl to I went from being just a little girl to, well, still a girl, just older. Another cutscene that I had was Avril Mead has figured out how time works. Yeah, Captain, like, some scrapyards are designed to be like staging areas for potential reuse, so there has to be something decent. I don't know.
None of you can tell me that this scene isn't beautiful.
I can never stop mentioning it that ACF and I, we teared up. We teared up. Ace Combat is back. I could listen to that violin looped for hours on end. Yeah. Um yeah. There was also the Pac-Man crop circles. Uh I don't remember. I want to say that there was actually something like one of the developers said something about, or one of the fans or someone said something about that actually being like for some reason efficient. I'm not sure, but I just chose not to ignore those. I could have put in like maybe a Waka 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 blooper or a reference to Desert Arrow, but Jalachi, not Hilachi. Yeah, well, May, screw you. Sky Shadowing, soundtrack I usually don't, uh, because it's every Ace Combat game I could do that with, except 6. I could say in every Ace Combat game, minus sin for this track, minus sin for that track, minus sin for this track. Like, it's kind of a cop out thing because almost all the tracks are magnificent. And then if I oh god, if I happen to skip one track, like let's imagine I removed the sin for Magic Spear 1 but not Magic Spear 2, you know? So I don't know. There aren't a lot of Namco references in this game. If I really wanted to, I could have gone for Anchorhead because of all the billboards, but I nah. I was gonna go billboard hunting. No worries, Sky Shadowing. I just hear that suggestion a lot. Like I should have removed sins here or there for the soundtrack. Like that's a very slippery slope for a video like this. I prefer the moments like Daredevil or in 4 where there's the Usian national anthem or the megalith, like things like that. I love having those moments and just going subtraction, 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 because it's really funny in a way. So
None of you can tell me that this scene scenes, but not in the. It's beyond me how they got the sonic boom working in the cutscenes, but not in the gameplay. We've had it since Ace Combat 4.
I'm very disappointed, honestly, by that. Um, because as I understood it, some of these cutscenes, some of the way that the cutscenes are designed, they're not in engine. They are pre-rendered. But something about the way that the planes move in the cutscenes just seems like it is in engine, like in game. Um, I mean the character models are in engine for sure, but I don't know. Like they got the sonic boom happening in there. I get that it was manual. I get that they just like manually added that effect, but I'm disappointed that we couldn't get it for ourselves in the gameplay. This is the first game. Uh, I think Assault Horizon and Infinity didn't have it. But I want to say Legacy had it. In either way, like we've had it in 4, 5, 0. I'm pretty sure the handheld games. I'm not positive though. 6 had it. I don't know why they couldn't include it in 7. I get that the game has been through development hell. I know, but still, I miss the Sonic Boom. Yeah, Manny, again, like this, if I started going negative sins on a bunch of soundtrack, then we would have this just like discussion about, oh, why didn't you do Safe Return? Why didn't you do? I would have people fighting. Why didn't you do Tango Line? Oh, thanks for not doing Tango Line. What do you mean Tango Line's good? What do you mean Tango Line's terrible? Like, better off just not touching the soundtrack.
Then I saw OCS fighters. They were tailing something. A drone. They were going full out chasing that thing. Doing 30 Gs at least.
I hope she was talking about the drone, because if the fighters were doing that, those pilots would be dead now.
Someone mentioned in the comments of the video that anything doing 30 Gs would break up in flight. That's fair enough. I don't know how powerful 30 Gs is, but I can imagine that that might be the case. Either way, that needed sinning. That absolutely needed sinning. Like, something was wrong there.
It had a rose painted on it. The Erusian emblem.
Here, Avril is demonstrating how Ace Combat pilots can see emblems and markings from literally miles away.
Like, we finally got someone actually in a cutscene identifying something from so far away that they should not be able to identifying it with an Erusian emblem. 1 million. 1 million Gs. Oh, you are dead, you're right. The MiG-99s, they have no roses. They don't have any, markings at all. Good point. Well, I should have moved the Arsenal Bird, sin over here. Interesting. Also, that F-104 turning like that. I had another cutscene because Avril said all this plane could do was take off, accelerate, and fly up. And I said, you never said anything about turning. But then I cut that because I had another sin ready for when she said should have built it to turn too. Like, what do you call this?
Crap. You should have put in my offensive you piece of junk.
Why the hell would you take off and go to the stratosphere without IFF? Even if Aruja's drones weren't here, someone in Osea would have noticed and launched fighters.
Should have built it to turn too.
What do you call this then?
That was turning, right? Am I blind? That was a turn, right? Or a roll or whatever. Yeah, May, Vertigo Zero. I'm just like, oh, I could see the ring. Yeah, I know, Captain. It depends on the construction, but still.
All been instrumental in helping to maintain peace in Usea as members of the International Union Peacekeeping Force.
Fuck off with this joint assault shit.
I'm glad, like, I'm happy that people replied in the comments, what do you mean? I don't understand. Because they were graced with not having seen or played Joint Assault. No, ACF Nugget, the F-104 was a terrible dogfighter. It was a terrible plane. That was a turn, not a roll, because Avril uses novice controls. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. Was that actually like a turn and not a roll? Like, was that novice controls there? I couldn't tell. I want to say I thought about sending novice controls there, but I'm not sure. But if I could tell for sure that that was novice controls, I would have sent that. Golduka, the IUN is comprised of most of those southern nations that you see on the map in blue. Osea's... The Osean Defense Forces do make up the majority of the IUN's, like, military. But, no, it is an integrated force of a lot of Osean countries. So, we just don't see that a lot in the gameplay because it is mainly Osean forces.
Earlier, our radar radar site informed us that a group of unidentified aircraft was approaching.
And here we have the Ace Combat staple of showing us exactly what these supposed unidentified aircraft look like.
Someone commented that unidentified in this context means that they couldn't identify the origin or the owner of the aircraft, not that they couldn't actually see like the model. I disagree. Like the term a group of unidentified aircraft, like that phrase just implies we know it was aircraft, but we don't know which aircraft. Like I mean like that's just what it seems like to me. Like unidentified aircraft have attacked us. And then you show me a picture of said aircraft. I mean the only reason they're bears and blackjacks is because it's Ace Combat and those are the only bombers we can use besides B2s or B1s, which I guess they didn't want to give Erusia. I mean, yes, Erusia had the group of B2s, but they were special because they were stealth. Osea is the one who ran B1s and B2s, which that's not a sin to me. I mean, some countries in Ace Combat have had specific rosters. Usually the enemies have Russian aircraft. But nah, I wasn't gonna send something like that. Shouldn't the Erusians have their IFF on? Can you identify Erusian? Like from that radar facility? Actually, you may be right, Captain. That IFF should have actually been able to identify an Erusian ID. Especially since the IUN has been here for so long. Huh.
It's possible that the Yuuzhan ceasefire agreement has been broken for the first time in over a decade.
It's not just possible, they literally attacked the radar sites.
This is one of my favorite because I had to go back to the Ace Combat 4 footage and
So we know for a fact it's broken.
put that in.
Besides, a ceasefire agreement implies a temporary halt as opposed to a treaty. Last I checked, we vaporized all of Erusia's territory, captured the capital, the Supreme Commander died, and the remaining Erusians accepted surrender to ISAF. That wasn't a ceasefire, they literally lost the war.
We don't have a lot of ceasefires in our world that are still ongoing, but the most popular one is North and South Korea. That war, the Korean War, has never ever ended. They had a ceasefire agreement, not a treaty. But that like you do a ceasefire agreement in the midst of conflict. No one does a ceasefire agreement in peacetime. So because that's not the point. Like you're in peace. There's no fire to cease. So there's no way that like I don't know. 7 kind of takes 4 and mushes it up like clay. Forming it to whatever it needs at the time. It's one of my like problems with the game. Again, I love 7. But I'm not blind. Like, of course there are plot holes, of course there are inconsistencies. Like any Ace Combat game. The way that 7 handles 4 is not my favorite. Kono himself, even, I think on September 19th, this last September 19th, he said that Osea captured Farbanti and ended the Continental War. A lot of people, mostly in the Japanese community, so I'm glad that it's not just me. A lot of people came to ISAF's defense, like, no, that was ISAF. That was Ace Combat 4. And Kono had to correct himself. Again, I don't want to say... The last thing that I want to say is that Kono is trying to, like, retcon 4 out, or, like, change its details. I have more... What's it called? I'm not that suspicious. Like, I'm not that tinfoil hat. Like, oh, they're messing with 4. They're taking its details. They're blending them however they want to. They're ruining my story. No, I there's all possibilities because remember Sunao Katabuchi wrote that story in 2000. So like it's been so long. Um I don't think they're trying to sabotage their own games. Um but there is a part of me that's like, you know, there are some of these details that, you know, should not be presented this way. Like it wasn't a ceasefire. We trampled them as ISAF, not Osea. Osea had no involvement. Belka had no involvement. Just things like that. O4 is Kono's godchild? That's not correct, You Are Dead. Uh, what do you mean by that, actually? Because Kono only did art for that game. Um, he directed Assault Horizon and 5, but actually it was Bandai Namco that asked him to direct Assault Horizon. But his probably main child is 5. Not 4. Hey, Painless Viking, and hey, Henrique Carvalho. Thank you for following. Welcome to the stream. Oh yeah, Sky Shadowing. Thank you, thank you. It is a thing about Japanese developers. It's not just like Kono or Project Aces. It's a big thing with Japanese developers that they revere the previous games, but then when it comes to like specific lore details, they'll mess with them as they see fit. So that's not skeptical. Thank you, Solatus. That was the word I was looking for. I'm not that skeptical. um, I mean, yeah, Golduka, there is that point where, a lot of the world didn't exist back in 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. After all, 1, 2, 3, and 4 had to be retconned into 5 because 5 gave us the new planet. So your rant would just give my brother more fuel for his Ace Combat shouldn't be one timeline argument. The funny thing is, Kono would actually agree with him because he said that, like, when we asked him about 2 in Legacy, he said whatever the player decides is canon. So if he wants to believe that it's all different timelines, he's well within his rights as far as Kono's concerned. But Golduka, like, there is a point that, like, Osea, as the police force of the world, like the United States, you know, the United States is always involved with, for better or worse, like, there's always discussions, there's tons of political discussions we could have. America is very, very involved in regional conflicts around the world. So, absolutely, it is not beyond the realm of possibility, like, not even close, that, of course, Osea could be involved, or would want to have been involved in the Continental War, even just, like, to a minuscule degree of sending arms to ISAF. Because I think, actually, Erusia was one of the countries that, well, again, Legacy is a retcon. I think Erusia was one of the countries that opposed the treaty, the Spring Sea Treaty with Osea. So you could then extrapolate the last thing Osea would want is for a country that opposes it to control the entire continent. So yes, that is not outside the realm of possibility. That being said, it was still an internal conflict. Usea was policing itself on terms of, like, refugees and stuff, and that's what led to the war. So I don't know. It's a very messy topic because, as Calamitous said, I'm glad that you're saying I don't sound like I'm trying to say that, you know, they're messing it up. I don't want to come off like that. I still really enjoy 7's plot, and where they've taken Usia. But yeah, it's like getting angry at 7 because like it messes with the lore. Every 6 took Ulysses and pushed it somewhere else. Like, you, every one of the games messes with the lore, you know? Like, 0, you know? Everyone, do you like Zero Story? Cool. They messed with the lore of 5, you know? Like every single game has messed with the lore somehow. They never completed the V2. What do you call this then? Like, messing with the lore, we have to remember these are video games. Whatever is necessary to make the game fun and to advance you to the next point of, okay, let me shoot down 1,000,000 aircraft, like, that's all that matters. Oh, you are dead, you're right. Kodo did say that 4 was one of his absolute favorites, so there you go. But yeah. Like, every Ace Combat game messes with the lore. Every one of them. Every single one of them. Painless Viking, I'm sorry, I didn't see your message. Any way to increase the main missile lock-on target? What do you mean? Are you talking about the range of lock-on? Are you talking about the homing? Or what are you talking about? What are you trying to change in the gameplay? Commander 522, welcome to the stream. Thank you for following. 5 is my fave too. I'm sorry, I like Wardog's cheesy dialogue. No, Captain, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry about an opinion. You're allowed to like what you like. In fact, most Ace Combat fans like 5. It's just the very loud, obnoxious ones hate it, so they sound loud because of it. Like, they'll shout it from the rooftops. Yeah, Manny, we're gonna get to that. We are gonna get to that. Before 4, only Yusia existed, not even Belka, so Belka couldn't have done it. Soon we'll be saying the lore 15 years ago. How does Ace Combat 1 fit into the canon? Mobius, the entirety of air combat, where are they, actually? Right here. I can actually show you. Oh no, wait, I can't with the cursor. You guys can't see my cursor. Damn it. Okay. On this screen, you can see the Scully Islands to the left, to the bottom left of the IUN logo. Like, on the left side of the screen. I don't know if you guys can see them, but there's an island, like, cluster next to the, below and to the left of the IUN logo. That is where the entirety of air combat took place. The Scully Islands. Because if you actually play air combat, you do notice that it's not a whole lot of areas. It is kind of a small map when you think about it. Yeah, yeah, Scully Islands is a funny... well, Ace Combat 2 named them, so... but yeah, Scully Islands was the fleet mission in 2, which was fleshed out in Legacy to also include Cocoon Squadron and the Zoe encounter. Shmee! it was Ace Combat 4's website that retconned Air Combat and Ace Combat 2 together. Ace Combat 3 has never actually, like, it's only because it was Usia and the same locations that Ace Combat 3 has been assumed to be in the same world. And you know, now we've got plenty of general resource and Newcom references, so it is in the same world. But it was Ace Combat 4's website that combined Air Combat and Ace Combat 2 into the same world. Oh yeah, Kimona is to the right, same latitude as Scully Islands, right? Yeah, same latitude. And people say Anya gets retcon. Just look at Scully. Yeah, Scully goes through a lot actually. There's actually a funny line in Legacy. If you play Seagull without Edge or Slash, if you play any of the missions without Edge or Slash, you get more lines from Keystone, from Ulrich Olsen. And his line to the Scully Islands is, it's such a Ghost reference. Because he says Scully Islands, and then Edge or Slash will say something like, Slash would be like, "Oh, I'd like to come back here for some R&R, or something like that, or I'd rather be here for R&R." That's what it was. I can't remember what Nagase said, but if you play with neither of them, Olsen says, "I haven't been here since I came with my kids. How about you, Phoenix?" And like, that's supposed to be like, I just imagine like him saying that causes Phoenix to have PTSD flashbacks of the Sky Fortress, because that's exactly what that line implies. Like, how about you, Phoenix? When was the last time you were here? Don't talk about it. Like, Nagase says something about the sunset? Okay. Phoenix, there's the jet engines and explosions. Yeah, exactly. Shit. I've been watching too much of Keystone. Yes, his goddamn call sign is Keynote. I've been thinking and talking too much with Keystone. Also, Calamitous. Cosmonaut Variety Hour. It's okay to like stuff, but it's also okay to criticize things that you like. Totally agreed. And I'll even go one further. It's okay to love stuff, but it's also okay to criticize things that you love. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with that is forcing opinions down other people's throats, criticizing the people that create the things, or spending your entire goddamn life criticizing. Like, don't forget to actually love the thing, you know? Anyway, let me catch up. Ries Space Center. You are dead. I'm not actually... I am not sure if that name is even canon. I need to find a source for that. I haven't found one. Phoenix just hears, "Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage." Anyway, Parfait, have you ever eaten ramen? If yes, how many garlic you usually use? Or dare sing Cassette's song? I am not even going to try to sing in French. I don't think I've eaten, like, I've eaten, you know, I guess, like, ramen noodles. I don't use garlic. May, you would understand this better than me because you know about ramen more than I do. We have packets, we have cup noodles, so sometimes I eat that, but I don't thrive off of it like most, like, college students. But I don't think I've ever had, like, true ramen. Like, I've never been to Japan. I would love to visit Japan. But I've never had, like, ramen from a street vendor or something like that, like you would in Japan. I've just had like store-bought packets or something. Yeah, exactly. I eat the packaged ramen. I don't eat proper ramen. I've never had proper ramen. And by package, like you put the noodles, boil them for a certain amount of time, and that's it. Chow and HK ignoring obvious problems. Yeah, like I don't want to present myself as someone who blindly follows, you know, Ace Combat into whatever it does and supports like every single fucking thing. Like, in fact, I love that people call me a Bandai Namco shill when I was and still am the only person to make a video attacking Bandai Namco, calling them out, specifically Bandai Namco America, calling them out for the mistreatment that we've suffered as Ace Combat fans since 6 and up to the pre-release time of 7. Like, you can call me a shill, but I have video proof that I'm not. So, I love the Ace Combat games, and a lot of problems that people cite they have, I don't have. But I'm also, like, not oblivious. Like, of course there are plot holes in, for example, 7. But there's also, you also have to go both ways. There's plot holes in 4. There's plot holes in 5. There's plot holes in 0. There's a lot of missing story in 0. You want to talk about bad story? Here's a whole Xbox 360 game for you. Oh, Token Black Guy. That was when Ace Combat Fan, when he got his copyright strikes, that's what tipped me over the edge, because that was it. I was so angry at that point. Like, we didn't get any pre-order bonuses for 6, the aircraft pre-order bonus. We didn't get the Assault Horizon like special edition. We didn't get the avatars on the PlayStation Network from Assault Horizon. We weren't going to get any kind of special edition for 7. They had to throw together Aces of War and the Steelbook, which I think would not have happened if Ace Combat Fan and I hadn't pushed for it. So I just love that people call me a blind fan when I am anything but. Like, I call it as I see it. I see 7 as a good game. I see the holes in 7. I see Bandai Namco doing some good, especially with his DLC practices in 7 and other games as well. They've actually been improving, very much so, especially in the price market. But I also called them out when they pulled the bullshit. It's being a fan is a fine line. You gotta. No, I took down the video because they made up for it. They retracted the copyright strikes on ACF's channel and invited him to a multiplayer press event, and they got us, the special edition with the frickin' Steelbook. We got the Steelbook, we got Aces of War. Yeah, sure, we didn't get the Arsenal bird, but, it was thrown together last minute. We were gonna get nothing. So, I don't know, I just think, like, people just make me laugh when they just act completely stupid. But then again, welcome to the internet, Anyway, that was a rant and a half. We were doing something. Yeah, formidable. Seems like the start of 2020 is not good. But then again, we might be cured for like the rest of the couple of months, maybe. Hopefully. Anyway, We were doing something.
As of today, the Fort Gray's Air Base Squadron of the IUPF
Fuck off with this joint assault shit. The IUN logo is literally right there.
I mean,
Numerous unidentified aircraft confirmed overhead. What? How is that possible?
Your radar site was destroyed. Do the math.
Trigger, your call sign is Mage 2. Verify and read back.
I would if I wasn't an Ace Combat protagonist who couldn't talk.
It's showtime, Trigger. Let's see if you can handle the spotlight.
okay.
You're a good pilot, or so I told him.
This part.
An empty spot, so play along. It's still a leash, though.
Trigger's backstory of somehow being manipulated into the Air Force would have been infinitely more interesting than the standard Ocean good guy story we're about to get.
Incessant Numa. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for following. I was hoping for Area 88 in this game. You know, we're put into the penal base. When that happened, when we found out, like, and when they put out the trailer for the, that was specifically centered on the 444th, the one that started off with saying, like, trigger your call sign is Spare 15. I was really hoping for Area 88. And when Ace Combat Fan and I played the first 3 missions, I think we together played the first 3 missions, and then I also played 7, for, you know, the Beehive dogfight. When I heard this line, I was like, oh my god, we got conscripted in here. Just like Shin from Area 88. For those of you who haven't seen, he gets, his ex-best friend, forces him to join the mercenary squadron, without his knowledge or consent. I had to fill an empty spot. Like, I just really, really wish we got, like, an Area 88 story out of this. That would have been so... I don't like that we just went back to, like, oh, OC is the good guy again. Again, I like the story. I just would have loved to see a different story. I don't know. I expected Area 88, and I didn't get that, so...
Drones? Are you kidding me right now? Jesus, this is the kind of shit that really chaps my ass.
What the hell was that line?
International Union Peacekeeping Force.
Also...
Many wars are lost while failing to recover from the open.
I forgot I did that. Knocker has another line where he goes, I'll give you some pointers back at base if you can make it in one piece. I had a cutscene that said, Knocker never actually gives Trigger those pointers.
Opening blows.
Someone should tell that to the protagonists of all previous Ace Combat games. We've done nothing but save countries that couldn't recover from the opening blows.
They speculate.
They speculate.
Because when I was editing this video, I don't know why, but I kept having to start at this cutscene. Like, I don't remember why I was editing this so often, but all I kept hearing was they speculate, they speculate, they speculate, they speculate. So that line has been completely ruined for me.
Nothing but save countries that couldn't recover from the
Just
opening
those 2
blows.
words.
They speculate.
I don't know why she says it like that. They speculate. I don't know.
The drones were secretly transported to Osea in shipping containers and launched remotely.
How did they get away with putting them in the containers in the first place?
I saw at least one comment, I think, asking about that. Saying that they, you know, they totally could have gotten away with it. And I'm like, isn't there anti-smuggling, like, concerns? Like, can't they scan containers when they come in and check if there are drones in there? I mean, you know, I get that Anchorhead was erosion controlled at the time, but in Anchorhead the drone ships are docked, like they're about to disembark. Like, can't you tell me that they would have seen those? I don't know. Hey, bro, don't you hate that kind of shit that chaps your ass? He was like, what the fuck? God, what a line. Alright, token black guy. May you all have good doggos. Good night. I mean, yeah, Osea does have a defense system holes, but, you know, I don't know. It's still unclear if smuggling military hardware into Osean territory before actually declaring war is legal. Well, I mean, why not? I don't know.
During the air raid, the Osean Air Force...
How did the Erusian News Network get footage from an Osean plane?
Someone commented like, "Oh my god, dude, that's obviously a Sukhoi." This is all I can see of the plane that we're in. Can you tell me if this is supposed to be a Sukhoi from this specific shot? Like, oh my god, it's obviously an Erusian aircraft sent to intercept that Osean aircraft. Can someone explain how I'm supposed to be able to tell that? I mean, yeah, Warrior, but then I would send it for being stock footage and not actually like footage of the war, but I don't know. I'm noticing Kestrel 2 had not a single F-14 on its deck. Well, Manny, probably because they were all deployed. They all launched. Which is why the Osean plane breaks away like it's Indigo Team's intro. I mean, they break away all the time, you know? Breaking formation, fine, but like, I don't know, it's just not that obvious that it's an Erusian aircraft. Nope, we are in a supersonic hot air balloon.
20 years ago, the Earth got slammed by an asteroid.
Exposition. The Ulysses backstory has been mentioned so many times, it's like we're watching Uncle Ben or the Wayne family die again.
It's not a bad thing that the legacy of Ulysses continues, because Usia got butt fucked by 3 cacti. Like, this Ulysses is such a defining moment for Usia that, like, that of course we're gonna have that that story told again, because it's a never-ending story. Usia is always going to be affected. Its entire future has been predefined by the Ulysses impact. So it's not a bad thing that the story goes back to Ulysses. Like, mentions that, you know, a lot of this comes back from Ulysses decimating the continent. I just had to make the joke that, like, we've heard about Ulysses so much, it's like Uncle Ben died. Like, or we're watching Batman versus Superman and they had to show us, like, we had to do the backstory again. Like, come on. Like, I don't dislike that Ulysses is mentioned again or explained again, especially for the new players. But I just thought it would be a funny joke, like, oh my god, we've seen Ulysses so many times. Like, we know what happened. Parfait, we'll get to that in a second.
Refugees swarmed the Erusian Republic, the biggest country on the continent, plunging it into chaos. They were desperate and started a war, one they had no hope of winning.
Uncle Ben dies?
That's the war my dad fought and died in. The biggest nations from 2 continents went head to head, and the so-called righteous Oseans struck the deal that ended it.
Contradicting statements. We know for a fact that Avril's dad died in the Circum-Pacific War, confirmed through outside material. That's the war my dad fought and died in, should have said something like, my dad died in a different war. Just as well, because I won't let Ace Combat 7 imply Ace Combat 4 was non-canon by claiming that ISAF was actually on Osia's payroll. Let Mobius 1 have his glory, dammit. Also, isn't Avril one of those so-called righteous Oseans?
That she denounces Osea after being mistreated like the way she's about to, but still. Anyway. There are cut lines. I asked Keystone, some of you may know Keystone Grey, otherwise known as Spare 6 Keystone. He pretends to be full band because, you know, he finds all the intel by going into the game files and extracting what's there. There are a lot of cut dialogue lines, like alternate takes and everything that are hidden in the game files, including multiple takes on that sequence of lines. One of the alternate takes is Avril saying, "My dad died in a different war." Like, they did have a line. She said it in English. It exists. So here. I don't think this is the line I'm talking about. I think there's another line, but
My father died in the war that followed.
actually, that might be too low.
My father died in the war that followed.
Like, there are different lines for that. Let me see if I can find another alternate take. Did I have another? Yeah, there's another folder. No, there's a lot of cut lines. There's tons of them. Nah, damn it. I knew there was a line somewhere. It might have been that one, but I know I posted it. Uh... 1 second, guys. 1 second. Okay, no, not in that server. I thought I posted it in the Acepedia server. I guess not. Oh my god, you guys post so many pictures in my Discord. Fuck. I think I've lost it. Well, in any case, you get my point. Like, there... This should not have been that confusing. Avril is talking about 2 different wars. Let me make that clear. Avril is talking about 2 different wars. Her dad died in Ace Combat 5's war. Erusia started Ace Combat 4's war. Totally different. The biggest countries on 2 continents went head to head is the Ace Combat 5 war. Avril's dad did not fly with Blaze. No way. He was not a nugget. Because he was a seasoned pilot who was helping a retreat happen, and he got shot down. So he was not part of a main attacking force. So he was not one of the nuggets. There's another cut line from Avril. Let me find something about War Buddy.
His war buddy agreed. That was after the war, when he told us my father had died.
Like, I don't know. There's more dialogue here that would have explained it. But I don't know. This was just entirely confusing. Like that whole sequence should have been rewritten. Yeah, Avril's dad died in a different front. War Dog is not the only air squadron in Ace Combat 5. Yeah, I saw that, May. I don't know why Twitch filters Cinegrod, but... Oh, no, I know why. Because of the middle 3 letters. Hey, Sadisha. And then there's this part.
Illusion forces took control of the space elevator without spilling a single drop of blood.
You can't tell me a military operation to seize the space elevator resulted in no one being harmed whatsoever. Speaking of which, the space elevator has to be the most protected location on Earth. How did Aruja even manage to take it over in the first place?
The big reason why the IUN PKF is even near the space elevator during the start of the war is to stop the space elevator from being attacked by terrorists. Eruja comes in and are like, put down your gun. And the IUN is like, go right in. How did they do that without spilling a single drop of blood? I don't get it.
Then, while that was going on, the Erusian ships that were docked all around Osea released a swarm of drone...
Hang on just 7 nuclear seconds.
One of my favorite
Why
jokes.
Why is Grunder still in business after everything that happened? Why didn't Osea dissolve the company after Ace Combat 5 proved that Grunder was serving as a front for terrorism against Osea?
In case you were wondering, yeah, I survived.
Wow, I sure couldn't figure that one out, Avril. Thanks for spelling it out for me.
I did consider cutting that sin. I'm still not sure about keeping it in, but I did consider cutting it.
I was tried, found guilty, and stuffed into a cargo ship.
Wait, you're telling me Avril, a non-military officer, was given a proper trial for her actions but was found guilty? She was arrested officially on charges of wartime aviation. She must have had a really bad attorney to lose that trial, given the witnesses at the scrapyard that could corroborate her side of the story.
Like, there... When... At least in America, I don't know about court-martial, but... First of all, she shouldn't have been in a court-martial. She's a civilian. So treating her like a military officer or... Like, most of the penal base is, Osean military units that did something or other. But Avril is a civilian. All she was doing was flying a plane when there also happened to be other planes. So treating her like military is totally wrong. And it kind of implies a banana court in Osea if that's the case, which is very, very odd. Given that we saw a proper court-martial in Ace Combat 5. So the notion that she was put through the ringer as military is kind of out there. Even so, I would have figured that she would have gotten some kind of attorney to defend her. And I don't know what they were doing, because there were plenty of people at that scrapyard. People helped her take off, so someone could corroborate her story. Like, no, she was just building an aircraft, they just didn't install IFF, things like that. Like, yes, I am expecting Osea to have a competent judicial system, or at least as competent as America's, which has failed in some cases for sure. But I, I don't know. I don't know. Also, there was one line where she explains about this being a prison, and she's like, "This was a prison," and I had a sin that said, "You sound surprised, you know, for someone who was found guilty in a trial." um, but I decided to take that away in case like someone was like, "No, she doesn't sound surprised. She was just explaining that this was a prison dramatically."
This place looked like a full-on base, but half the tanker trucks were just big balloons.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
The whole place was just one big fat lie.
Take a drink whenever you see Avril playing with her fingernails.
They wanted me to make something out of the mothballed planes they brought, that they could park on the fake runway.
Why? They already have the planes. She didn't need to make them fully functional if the point was to fool Aruja from above. They only did this to have an excuse for the 444th to fly planes later.
I was muted. Shut up. Radio failure. I needed to put a cough drop in my mouth. That's sin. Think about what the goal was. You know, Tabloid in 444, I think it was Tabloid, said, the enemy seems to think our air force is concentrated on this base. All the base needed to do was put some flares or some lights underneath the engines of the fake planes, and just arrange them so that they looked like they were planes and not like, you know, scraps. They did not need Avril. They did not need her to put together the planes and make them operational, flyable. None of that was necessary. If all they wanted was to fool them from, like, you know, satellites and bomber aircraft, they didn't need Avril to put them together. The only reason that they did that was so that they could put them in planes and have spare squadron. Now, here's the funny thing. This sin is invalidated because Spare Squadron had a point. There was a point for them. They used the prisoners to test the holes in the UAV intercept system. But the way that this cutscene is presented is like Avril is giving us facts, which is a problem in like most of Avril's cutscenes, because she talks about facts, but they're not true. You know, like this. Like they didn't use her just to fake Aruja. They wanted to use those to have the UAV auto intercept system tested by the prisoners. I hate having a sneeze come up and it doesn't come up.
You can to obtain.
Okay, recruits. Pay attention to who's on what.
So many spelling errors, or grammar errors, I should say, that have still been unfixed.
Foreshadowing.
That's just in Ace Combat in general.
They also mess with your HUD and radar.
Military radar uses frequencies that aren't affected by clouds, so aircraft hiding from radar inside of clouds doesn't actually work.
Someone commented that it does work depending on the moisture and the composition of the clouds. True. But that can't be every cloud, you know? Every cloud in 7 works the same way. I mean, yeah, some of the I think the cumulonimbus clouds generate lightning, of course, but um not all of them. Not all of them are that heavy, you know? But they still all do the same effect. But again, like, that's not a sin, really. Um, like, it's not realistic, but I also don't care, because it makes for really cool gameplay. So, like, it's a sin, but I don't actually have a problem with it. Um, Chef Curry 1998 and Thomas Conklin, thank you for following. Welcome to the stream.
If your plane is about to explode, I don't think you have much leeway to point your nose towards uninhabited land. And that's if it doesn't break up before then. Foreshadowing.
The idea there is that there actually are different languages in Strange Real. And Belkin is German. So there you go.
Keep your mind focused.
Yes, let's just ignore the large blue explosion that absolutely no one cares to explain. I'm sure that won't come back ever again.
HQ, this is Golem 1. Bandits confirmed as UAVs. Golem 1, that doesn't matter.
After the last mission where you were begging for intel, I'm pretty sure it matters right now.
I mean, I get why it doesn't matter, because all the UAVs are now out, so Osea is well aware of what's going on. They don't need the intel, but you know, it's a funny thing where the first mission they were like, "Are there UAVs? Are there UAVs? How many UAVs are there? Golem 1, report to HQ." And now they're like, "That doesn't matter. Just finish it up."
The ship's moored around the space elevator and near Gandar Bay.
Okay, if I really wanted to point out every grammatical error, especially in subtitles, I've had plenty of opportunities in each game. But this is one that's not getting away with it. Gunther Bay is literally labeled right there on the map, and it was spelled correctly in other areas of the game, even in Mission 1. If you're going to screw something up, at least screw it up consistently.
Gandar Bay is a screw up from early on, very early on. Mission 3. This mission briefing is one of the first ones we got. Unfortunately, I remember I posted on Twitter, I pointed out a few grammatical errors to Kono, and they did actually fix the subtitles on some of them. Unfortunately, revoicing was not possible, and I get that because it's very expensive. But God, like, the localization team, whoever localized this game into English, really dropped the ball, and I called them out on it. I found in the credits who was responsible, and I called them out on Twitter, because fuck that. Those guys really like screwed up their work. This game has so many Japanese to English issues, and it's not even Bandai Namco's fault. Like, I mean, you could say like, oh, you know, they should have been able to verify. It's their responsibility in the first place. But no, it's, you know, they outsource these things for a reason, and I really don't like how they fucked it up. How the third parties fucked up the English here. And, you know, Bandai Namco can't go through and verify each and every single word, obviously, because, you know, that's the reason they hired a third party in the first place. But they did hire a third party to do the localization. And that third party dropped the ball really hard. Yuktovania, Gandar Bay, Masa. Ugh. Yeah, fuck Gandar. Grunder Bay. Yeah, Gunther Bay was in Legacy because it was also in 2. That's where Opera House was. Yuktovania is my favorite Undertale track. Parfait. Everyone thought so. When I played that, I was like, who the hell is Masa? And then we found out that Yoko worked with Schroeder from Aces of War. And then we find out in the other language subtitles that if you correctly translate it, it's Martha. And we're like, ah! Imagine if they fucked up Simon's name as well. Like, C-Mom. C-Mom. Jesus. No, yeah, I really don't know what happened with the English localization. I don't blame Bandai Namco. I blame this other company because they clearly dropped the ball. They could not handle this game, and I am very, very disappointed by that. In general, it's fine, but when you find those moments like Gandar Bay, or Masa, or the Stonehenge line, they stick out, and that's very disappointing. Again, not Bandai Namco's fault. I blame the third parties that handled the localization. They should have been better. They should have been much more talented, much more skilled at this to offer that kind of service. So, no, Jesus Christ, Gandar.
Kestrel 2 is now preparing to launch another attack against Erusia's capital, Barbanti.
Oh yeah, that worked so well the first time.
The aircraft carrier Vulture also managed to escape Gandar Bay safely.
One more sin for Gandar Bay. Also, why is it not Vulture 2 like Kestrel 2?
Today.
So, some people have mentioned that could have just been the original Vulture. That they pulled it up from the ocean floor and repaired it. My response is, do you remember what happened to the Vulture? What was that attack? It was like molten steel raining down on us. You're telling me they were able to repair it from the frickin' Synthaxi attack? And if they could repair the Vulture, why not the Buzzard as well? I get that, Oh no, Warrior, Fubar, yeah, no, people say that, still. If they could revive the Vulture, why not the Kestrel too? Yeah, exactly. You know? There is no way to raise a giant carrier from underwater. I don't know if there's any real-life instances where we've taken a carrier and raised it. But again, no. No, it's obviously a new ship, but then why didn't they call it Vulture 2?
The International Union Peacekeeping Force. The Ocean Army headed up the development of the massive arsenal birds and dispatched them to the space elevator to provide support.
Again, how the hell did Erusia capture the space elevator if it was being protected by 2 arsenal birds? Also, the arsenal birds are getting explained and their patrol path cuts right through Choppenberg. I wonder what surprise enemy we're going to face in this mission.
So, there was another sin here, where in the briefing, the guy goes, the carriers may have fallen into the hands of the Erusian forces. If that's true, they could pose a significant obstacle for us. And my cut-sin was, of course it's true. If the arsenal birds defend the elevator, and Erusia has the elevator, then Erusia has the arsenal birds.
Time to show the other guys that we get wet wild and do dirty, dirty things.
I'm so conflicted on whether I want to send this. It's a stupid line, but it's so hilariously stupid. I'm leaving it to you guys in the chat in the comments.
So, I did really fight myself on what I wanted to do with that one, but ultimately I chose, you know what, just let the people decide. I think that worked out for the best. Everyone had different responses, so.
Ace Combat and its demons.
Your fingers should still move even if you're in a 9G turn.
I get the feeling Knocker has never actually been in a 9G turn. Sure, I haven't either, but that doesn't mean I can't call him out on it.
Caution, a large aircraft is approaching. All aircraft, stay alert.
You can't tell me that the Arsenal bird was hiding in a cloud the entire way over here.
Like, how did Skykeeper not detect the Arsenal bird until now? Like, there's no... Because it comes out of a cloud, as if it was hiding in it. There's no way that it was hiding this entire time. I mean, you could say that it just got in range, like it's Stonehenge, but...
Golem Squadron, take out Big Baby Huey.
What the fuck?
What the fuck is that name? I had another cutscene here where Skykeeper was talking to HQ and they said, all aircraft, no change in game plan, destroy the Arsenal bird. My sin was, why the hell would HQ not only authorize, but order that? There is no way, even in the Strange Real universe, that these chumps could do anything to it. I cut that sin because later in the game, we do take out the Arsenal bird with conventional weaponry solo. So, you know what, like, no, never mind, because we do kind of do that, so.
Skykeeper, I repeat, maintain air superiority.
We've already lost half of Skeleton Squadron and nearly Brownie. Any simpleton can read the situation.
All squadrons, command has ordered a complete withdrawal. Leave the operation area immediately.
Brilliant observation. If you was earlier, more of us would have survived to hear it.
Random gargoyle pilot would be great at CinemaSins.
Retreating aircrafts, prepare for combat. It's a bogey. Gargoyle 1, Golem 2, engage now. Attack.
I feel like Skykeeper violated rules of engagement. Golem 2's aircraft is damaged and barely combat capable, and Gargoyle 1 was escorting her away from combat. If they had gone on an open channel and explained that, Mihai should have spared them. Then again, it's debatable if Ace Combat has ever paid attention to rules of engagement.
I know that someone pointed out that there were lines in previous games about, you know, in Zero, the only rule of engagement was to survive. I know, and, you know, in 5, there's that exchange between two guys who are like, shit. One guy was like, follow the rules of engagement, and the other guy was like, rules of engagement, we're gonna get annihilated here. Something like that. It's in the trailer. We let them get away with this, they're gonna court-martial us. So yes, they've mentioned the rules of engagement, but my point is, it doesn't seem like the games have ever cared about them. But, you know, that's why I said it's debatable. And then someone said, why should Mihai have spared them? They were still enemy combatants. Yes, but you don't fire on enemy combatants that are trying to retreat, that are injured and leaving, you know? So I don't know. I don't think Mihai, I think Mihai would have spared them if the situation had been explained, but to him, they were just two enemy combatants that were in his way. So. Also, I saw you guys mentioning that we've done a Vulture thing, especially with the name Enterprise. Fair enough. Then my response is, why is it Kestrel 2? I know because the Kestrel was such a big thing, like, make it a Kestrel 2. But, you know. One or the other. Chow and HK, no, that's not correct. That line was implying that the OG game plan was to destroy the Arsenal bird, not normal air superiority mission. No, that's not correct. The game plan is air superiority in Choppenberg so that they can continue on to the space elevator. So no change in game plan means no change in the objective to maintain air superiority in Choppenberg, shoot down the Arsenal bird, then we get air superiority here. Obviously, because these guys are too weak, they can't. But no, the point was that they wanted air superiority here so that they could open an air corridor to get to the space elevator. Obviously it didn't work, so they had to send in one aircraft through the radar net instead.
Skykeeper, Gargoyle 1 lost.
What the hell?
Ow, my ears.
They still haven't fixed that. Like, that line is the only one that has that volume issue, and I don't know why.
I can't shake it off. It's magically moved
Again, it's a sin, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just, you know, pointed out.
Stop dogfighting and run!
Knocker is a dick. Stop yelling from a distance and go help her.
I don't get it. Why isn't it opening fire?
Why did Mihai choose to decimate Gargoyle 1 but play around with Brownie? Next mission, they all point fingers at Trigger and forget he saved their asses.
Skykeeper, where's the one that got Brownie? I'm afraid he's long gone by now.
He cannot have escaped that quickly.
The aircraft carrier Kestrel 2 was sunk during the attack on Farbanti.
What a waste of a callback. We didn't even get to see it in combat.
I wanted to mention for the Mihai thing, that's instantaneous. Like, Brownie gets shot down and then Knocker immediately asks, where's the one that got Brownie? And Skykeeper's like, he's long gone. Like, okay, he was in the combat zone. There's no way he just teleported out. I know Mihai, I know game, I know, but still.
Here he comes.
I know Obo Shoes Games made this joke first, but what was Schroeder doing just then? Tying his shoes?
Also, May, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that you had seen a typo. Have we gotten to that one yet? I haven't noticed.
The drones we based on his data were being taken down at a faster rate now, compared to when the war began. When Mihai found that out, he insisted on flying to the front lines to see it for himself.
Except he didn't
We're long past? May, which sin was it?
witness anything to do with the drones. He just shot down 2 human-flown aircraft and paced out of there.
Today, after 28 years, he saw combat again.
2019. What the hell happened in 1991?
No, I got it. Okay, May, what's sin?
How penal is this penal unit, you ask? This place is a shithole.
Avril Mead, everyone. Absolute master of the English language.
Someone commented on my video saying, oh no, it was in the live chat, that was like, she's not supposed to be Shakespeare. Like, yeah, but there are better lines. She has alternate lines that we actually heard, I think, in the European trailer. But no, it was, it was a little classier than that. I spelled manipulated wrong. I think that was the one where Trigger was forced into the Ocean Air Force.
It's showtime. So I told him. I had to fill an empty spot, so play along.
Of somehow being manipulated.
Shit! Manipulated! Damn it! I'll take that though. I'd rather that than messed up sin number.
Everyone, absolute master of the English language.
Everything from flea-ridden guards, rabid dogs, and a mechanic doing the stretch for life.
Avril has a life sentence? And maybe after all of her failed escape attempts, but that still seems pretty drastic for her so-called crime.
I bet you're wondering, if Erusea lost—
Like, how does she have a life sentence? Doing a stretch for life. Like, for what? Flying an F-104 when there was a war going on? That's not a life sentence. I could see it if, like, you know, she's tried to escape so many times, might as well keep her here. Like, fine, but...
lost the war, how come they still have a spy satellite? Because someone over there was smart enough to train a bunch of computer nerds to hack into half of Osea's satellites. That's how come.
It doesn't answer why Osea didn't counter-hack or remotely shut down those satellites. No one does satellites better than Osea. You can't tell me they didn't have safeguards on them. Also, I wonder who trained them. Who in the world could have possibly...
Like, I love that I do this. This is one of my favorite running gags, where I have a whole line and just interrupt myself. Who in the world could have possibly given Aruja the expertise and knowledge to hack into Osea satellites? But no, I just interrupt myself.
Yes,
I'm like,
of course some Belkin was involved.
I love that.
Every now and again,
I love
I'd
doing
try
that.
to bust out. And every single time, those damn dogs would drag me right back.
How do you still have your legs?
Osea's former
She has another line where she's like, instead of building fake ass planes to trick Aruja, I'm gonna build one that'll really take off. You can count on that. And I said, wasted line, since she never actually flies again, just makes planes for other people. Then I realized, wait, no, she does actually make planes for other people that also take off. But, I don't know if she was ordered to, if she just, like, chose to do that on her own.
former president, Mr. Harling.
Always somehow involved in rescue missions, isn't he? Also, why haven't we heard anything from the current Osean president? You know, supposedly our commander-in-chief?
A military officer accompanying Mr. Harling hid him inside the facility.
No, she never flies again.
For a chance to escape.
How have the Erusians not found them? It's already been 3 weeks since the war broke out, and they control the elevator.
We will send a single aircraft through the network, and send in a rescue team soon after.
Yeah, but is anyone gonna explain how we dodged the arsenal birds?
There's another line in the briefing, well, I mean, he just says, the lone aircraft that'll pull this mission off is you, Trigger, or something like that. My sin was, I know we're the protagonist and the player, but Trigger is hardly experienced. He's only done 3 missions. Why would they trust him with something this important? But then I cut that because, you know, he did kind of save everyone in the last mission, or as many people as he could. Funny how it takes Avril and several other people 6 years and 8 months to repair one plane, but she fixes up nearly 24 within a couple of months. Very good point, Captain. Very good point.
Entering operation area. Imposing radio silence. We'll radio you, but you are not permitted to make contact.
That's not how radio silence works.
Use of
not.
weaponry is also strictly forbidden.
Oh wow, finally, an Ace Combat game that takes radar avoidance a little more seriously by blocking weapon usage. Take a sin off for that.
Now, here's the funny thing. This mission was not originally supposed to be like this. According to cut dialogue and lines and everything, the original version of this mission was Ace Combat 6. So, you know how in 6, in Weapons of Mass Destruction, you have to fly through the canyon and reach all of the contact points that the Estavakians have with the nuclear transport unit. And you have to destroy all of them before they can make contact. There's a timer that shows up on the screen. In the original draft of this mission, I don't know how complicated or how complex the radar net was going to be. You could still go through the radar net without firing a single shot. However, instead of automatically failing, if you flew into one of the red circles, instead, you would, if you entered a red circle, you would have to eliminate all the Erusians in that area. In fact, they might even send reinforcements at you if you wait long enough. So, the entire point here was that you could brute force your way through to the elevator if you wanted. That all got scrapped. That's why you hear the lines, no change, going home, or like, situation report, something's happening. Don't worry, it's just a blip. Like, all of those cut lines are because of the original version of this mission. Or all of the lines playing like that randomly. So it's interesting, and it's also interesting that Project Aces didn't like it. You know, remember Kono said that the original version of the game was not fun. I'm very curious how this design might have been, like, bad. Obviously, we'll never get to play it. You know, it's gone. And maybe for good reason. Maybe the mission is better off. But there is a lot of cut stuff like that. And Mission 4 is the biggest mission that completely flipped upside down through development. Everything in this mission is different from how it originally was designed. The plot remains the same, but it's just fascinating. Like, no, originally you were not. You were supposed to use your weapons, which is funny because you're not supposed to use your weapons if you're trying to sneak in through a radar net. Yes, Calamitous. The briefing also hints at it because it talks about hiding in the clouds to hide from enemy radar. Yes, exactly. In this version of the mission, the clouds seem kind of random, but you do notice that the clouds are in the path of you safely getting to the space elevator. You were supposed to pay more attention to where the clouds were and use them to sneak through. It's very interesting that the effect of you disappearing from radar seems to be less effective now than it was in the pre-release version of the game. But no, yeah, there was a lot more to this mission. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe they thought that, you know, having to avoid through clouds was pointless, or not pointless. Like, wasn't fun or was too complex and people couldn't figure it out and it was too difficult. So they made these areas that you could just fly through past the radar net, and then they realized, wait, if we're going to do that, why even have the enemies in the first place? You know, things like that. Maybe it just didn't end up being fun. And you know, if the developer doesn't think it's fun, it probably isn't fun. But still, the plot of the mission would have changed though, right? Because no matter what, Harling will always die. Yeah, no, the plot would not have changed. Harling would have still died. Harling. The funny thing that I love that people for some reason think that this game's story is bad because of the redo of the game, or that like it was rushed, therefore the story is bad. Like, I wonder what the original draft of the story would have been like. We had cutscenes. We had all of these cutscenes done back in 2016. You know? The song that plays when Harling gets shot down. We had that since 2015. The plot of this game has never changed. The specific minute-by-minute details have changed. Yes, the mission designs have changed. But the story was always like this. So, Calamitous, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. What if we could also brute force our way into Mission 14? I know that will compromise the ground unit, but no, that would have compromised the ground unit. Oh yeah. So, Sadisha's right. The Arsenal Bird was also much different. Instead of having the shield, it was actually more like a Gaion. It was more like a missile launch platform. Not in like the Nimbus sense. Like, I mean, what I mean by that is Nimbus has an area of effect explosion. The Arsenal Bird was just a missile launch platform rather than like a shield and a drone base, like all only those things. And you notice that the missiles on the Arsenal Bird are very large. So the idea was that those could be super, super long range. But again, I guess for whatever reason, they didn't like the idea or didn't lend to good gameplay, so they scrapped it. Which, you know, is still fine. Anyway.
You can fly directly over Selatopura's airport without anyone noticing.
I don't know how this would have been different. Maybe in the original version of the game, you couldn't do this because there's no clouds. so they would have noticed. Again, I don't know. We'll never know. But very, very interesting that you could just do that in this version of the game. Yeah, there are all there's Osea Airlines, there's Air Aruja, there's plenty of airlines hidden in this airport.
Harling is still the president in my eyes.
Is Skykeeper allowed to say that as a member of the armed forces? Does Osea have a First Amendment?
I did also have another cutscene here where I said about those situation reports, something's happening. Are we under attack? No change. I said that I really didn't like those random lines, and they shouldn't have forced them in here, just because they were cut from the original design, but I decided to cut that sin because it adds a little flavor when you're flying in silence.
We're securing Sea Goblin's landing zone.
I guess this island is tropical enough to count. Way to go, Sea Goblin.
Rescue unit down. Along with the soldier who had this radio.
Then how are you not captured? And who's shooting in the background?
I could have also added a sin, like, denouncing Sea Goblin, like, wait, never mind, you guys are actually shit, you're not the real Sea Goblin. Because Sea Goblin in 7 is pathetic. All of the original guys must have retired, because the unit is awful now. They were pretty much heroes. They were like the ground version of War Dog back in 5.
How convenient.
The call sign is Mother Goose 1.
Of course.
Link.
Mother Goose 1? That's the best you can come up with?
Hey, it's an endearing callback.
Yes, sir. It's an old-time calculation.
What does that mean? And more importantly, what does that matter?
Strategic AI chose liberty over justice.
Of course, Osea.
I had another sin there where orders are to fire warnings. I pointed it out in the bloopers. That was not a warning shot at Harling. In fact, like, not even at the like, because the regardless of whether it was George or a drone that fired on Harling and killed him, all of the drones fire on Harling to damage the cockpit, fire on Mother Goose 1. So they are not doing warning shots. Even if he had ordered the drones to do warning shots, the drones are not doing warning shots.
Yeah, the America of Strange Reels Earth would call them liberty and justice.
Yeah, of course.
Gargoyle 1 is back from the dead?
They still sound like the same voice actors, so someone said, well, obviously one of the Gargoyle members got promoted. Look at Cyclops Squadron in Homeward, when Taylor showed up. But, still. It sounds like Gargoyle 1, so he's back from the dead.
This whole thing with Gargoyle makes no sense. What ship? The Arsenal Bird? Are they trying to destroy the elevator? Or are they trying to damage it so the Arsenal Bird can't receive signals from it? Or are they trying to fire on it to confuse the drones into blocking the missiles? Nothing here is explained about Gargoyle's plan. And why was it kept secret from everyone else?
So, that ship isn't one of ours. Everyone has commented on my video saying maybe they were actually referring to Pilgrim 1. And that makes more sense. And even if that was what they were saying, like, so let me go back to that line. They won't be able to get home. That ship isn't one of ours. So, Gargoyle 3? Was that? No. So either Gargoyle 3 or 4 was like, was worried about the plan they were doing, thinking that whatever they were about to do, was not going to let Pilgrim 1 come home. And the IUN HQ was basically like, who the fuck cares? They're not ours. So that, first of all, that has interesting implications about the IUN HQ, because IUN HQ therefore is not Ocean, because if Osea would care, which figures because Gargoyle is an OMDF squadron, but still, it's still too vague. I get that they didn't exactly want to tell the player, by the way, Nagase from Ace Combat 5 is in space. I get that, but they could have at least said, without the lighthouse, Pilgrim 1 won't be able to come home. And then you'll sit here wondering, wait, who's Pilgrim 1? And then when you hear it in Mission 20, you're like, holy shit. Like, regardless of whether that ship is Pilgrim 1 or not that they're referring to, that dialogue was still way too vague. And it doesn't stop the rest of it from being way too confusing. You should have noted how strategic AI chose the worst arsenal bird to attack a high priority target like Harling. Helios and lasers are unnecessary for this. So, you know, the priority target is a single V-22 Osprey. They don't need the lasers or the Helios. No, IUN is... Not every part of the IUN is Ocean. Most of it is, but it's entirely... So now we know, like, if they were saying that ship as Pilgrim 1, then that confirms IUN HQ is Ucian, not Ocean. But yeah, also, You Are Dead. Keep in mind, the documents have not been released, so no one knows that the person aboard Pilgrim 1 is one of the members of Rosgrace. No one knows that. But that's still also, like, all of that still doesn't excuse the rest of this.
Or are they a Gargoyle's plan? Why was it kept secret from everyone else?
Gargoyle 3 to Babel. Babel, roger.
And who the hell is Babel? It's obviously referencing the Tower of Babel, but in that case it means the space elevator. But then, who would be returning the call as Babel if Erusia has total control over the space elevator? This makes no sense.
Someone said that Babel was the plan to destroy the space elevator. I don't like that, because Gargoyle 3 to Babel implies that Gargoyle 3 was communicating to Babel, to a person or a thing with the call sign Babel. Erusian hacker, fire a warning shot on Harling. Arsenal bird fires Helios. Like, yeah, perhaps Babel was a code word used to engage the space elevator. Yeah, but then who's returning the call? IUN HQ? I don't know. Because they talk like they're not talking like Gargoyle 3 initiating Babel. No, they're saying Gargoyle 3 to Babel and Babel Roger. Like, that just sounds to me like it's people with call signs. I don't know. If Babel is like Tucker 04, then, and they were trying to destroy the space elevator, I would have hoped that because that implies Babel is ground units, and they should have escaped. But also, Sea Goblin died, so I don't know who would be on the ground as Ocean right now. What other entity starts with B? It's Belka. My point from the previous sin still stands on this. What was the point? Were they trying to trick the drones, risking hitting the space elevator, and that's why one of the Gargoyle members was like, without the lighthouse, you know, like, what if we miss? What if we actually hit the space elevator and they can't get home? Were they trying to trick the drones into taking the missiles? Or were they trying to destroy the space elevator to shut down the connection to the Arsenal bird And Gargoyle was like, well, without the space elevator, how are they going to get home? This isn't explained. And it's just such a weird sequence of events. And I don't like it. Because, like, what was this for? You know? And it failed either way. They didn't shut down the space elevator, they didn't destroy the space elevator, and they didn't shoot down enough drones. So either way, it all failed. Gargoyle did their jobs. Yeah, badly. So I don't know what this was for. I don't know what this was for, and I feel like this was a waste of time. Like, there was no point to this, in my mind. This is one of the few moments in the plot that I'm like, why? Like, again, I still like the plot of the game, but I'm also not oblivious. This is one of those moments that I'm like, unnecessary. Sky Shadowing, I think it was a secret. I think the entire operation was a secret. Remember, Nagase returned saying that they had a way to get into space now. I don't think many people knew that it was about an asteroid. No, Manny, there hasn't been a big explanation about this scene yet. Yeah, that's the thing, You Are Dead. If they were trying to destroy the elevator, that thing is a lot more protected than some SAMs. Like, SAAMs, 4 SAAMs are not going to destroy the space elevator. So, if that was the plan, that's a bullshit plan. That's a pathetic plan. And Calamitous, I know one of the lines afterwards is HQ, 1 hit was scored, the rest were intercepted by UAVs. The elevator's windbreak took a scratch, nothing more. That line makes me think, like, no, don't worry, the elevator wasn't damaged. We did manage to get a bunch of drones. I don't know. Just, it still... That, the point of it is still lost when it didn't do anything. And it wasn't going to do anything because it's better constructed than that. I don't know. Babel got the orders, but they did the job in their own terms, hence the following dialogue about IUN forces not cooperating with Osea. Well, Solace, of course it's a reference to the Tower of Babel, but who's returning the call? I don't know. This entire moment just didn't need to happen. It failed, it meant nothing in the end, and it shows some really, really sketchy things about the IUN that just didn't need to be there. So... LAMs, SAAMs, 1 missile for 4 missiles is not enough. It's not going to do anything. So I don't know. Well, yeah, Sky Shadowing. Maybe it was a discovery plan. Maybe they were trying to see what would happen. I don't know. I don't know what the point was, and that's exactly why I don't like it. Like, it's way too vague, and it's too many questions, no answers, and it didn't do anything anyway. So it was pointless. This was entirely pointless. Well, You Are Dead, yeah, it potentially distracted Maid Squadron from protecting Mother Goose 1. Yeah, like, because, Clown and Knocker were paying attention to what Gargoyle was doing, and then Mother Goose 1 gets hit. Figures, like... I don't know. What would happen if we hit the space elevator? Nothing. Nothing. You can hit it as many times as you want as Mission 20, nothing happens. Everyone hits in a Mission 20. Oh yeah, that's the thing. That's the other thing. If they really were trying to destroy the space elevator, goodbye, Earth. Everyone's dead. the space elevator is very, very strongly constructed. The materials that are required and the size of the structure, Usia is gone if that thing is destroyed. So no. And you think the satellites were bad enough in space? Like all those satellites in orbit, they're gonna be fucked. Like no, this is not. I don't know. I don't know what this was. I don't know. I don't know. And that's why this is one of those moments in the game that I sinned this 3 times. Like I had 3 different sins for this. This is one of the moments that I don't like in the game story. But yeah, I don't know.
Skykeeper, what the hell was that? Gargoyle did their job. I figured, but why weren't we informed? The IUN can't coordinate between branches as usual.
I agree that the IUN HQ is incompetent, but this isn't different branches. You're all in the Air Force. And Gargoyle is a sister squadron. And Skykeeper was aware of the plan, whatever it was. So everyone should have been in the know from the briefing.
Mother Goose one hit.
Thank you. Whatever I was. God damn it. So I'm allowed errors. I am a human. Ardent followers of CinemaSins like myself know that even CinemaSins, like, they make a lot of errors. Turns out we're humans. Gargoyle is in the OMDF. They are not in the same branch. So no, the IUN can't coordinate between branches as usual. My sin for that is wrong. I said, what did I say? This isn't different branches, you're all in the Air Force. No. Gargoyle is a naval squadron. That being said, the rest of my sin still stands. Gargoyle is still a sister squadron to Mage and Golem because they have been with them for a couple of missions now. Skykeeper was aware of the plan, and everyone should have been in the know from the briefing. So all of those points still stand. If Skykeeper knew, everyone should have known. You can't just fire towards the space elevator in the middle of a mission to rescue former President Harling and not tell half of your forces, you know? So I accept that I got that wrong about the different branches. That is legitimate. They are different branches, but still, Skykeeper knew.
Everyone should have been in the know from the briefing.
Mother Goose one hit. Cabin's fine, but the cockpit's not looking so good.
Colonel Johnson, are you okay?
If the cockpit was hit so badly that Johnson's about to die, how is the radio still working?
Mother Goose 1, turn 180 degrees and exit combat area.
I see you, Ghost Missile.
I'm very glad I managed to get a shot of that. Obviously, I turned the camera just to get like that over the shoulder shot. But I'm very glad I managed to capture it so well.
We find out later that any aircraft flown by an AI in this game has a colored line indicating its current status. Except this one, which we're told later is supposed to be a drone. So why isn't there a colored line on this one?
Okay. Here we go. Jason Freitas, thank you for following. Welcome to the stream. In the original version of the game, there were No, there is no Zoe Globe, Manny. There is no drone in there. In the original version of the game, there are cut lines. There are still cut lines in the current version of the game. But the idea is that they would have played. So these cut lines were either would have played at Homeward or in Lighthouse Mission 19, where George, the guy, the Belkin that Avril and Tabloid rescue from Tyler Island, George had a much bigger role in the game. The idea was that he is the pilot of this plane, and he personally shot down and killed Harling. And he's flying an Ocean aircraft. Like, it was a specifically designed aircraft so that it would look Ocean to IFF. Which is what you hear later, because they're like, a friendly hit him. It was Ocean. It was an Ocean missile. In either Homeward or Lighthouse, there are lines still in the game that don't play, where George admits verbally to Avril that he was the one who killed Harling. There's a line in the game right now in the files that says, "I was the one who killed Harling." So the Ace Combat 7 website, in the Japanese website, has a character section where George says that he was, where under George it says he was involved in Trigger's incident. And there's also some lines on Tyler Island where, first of all, George is carrying a teddy bear. If you notice, when Avril and Tabloid are on the ship escaping Tyler Island, George is carrying a teddy bear. And I want to say that's the same teddy bear that there was a little girl carrying when she got shot in the firing line that Erusia was firing on civilians that the princess saw. The implication there, because Avril says that she heard that the supply ships will be launched soon from a man who wanted to atone for his sins. The implication there is that George was part of the firing line and killed that girl, and then carried the teddy bear as a reminder, and he wanted to atone for his sins. Thank you for posting, Calamitous, the line in the Discord server. Let me play it.
I'm the one who killed Harling.
Yeah, that's George's voice. So the idea was that in addition to being in the firing line, George was also the person in this cockpit. There's also another set of lines in Tyler Island, in the Tyler Island mission, where the people at the Mass Driver base, they're like, this independent special security squadron is demanding to be let into the base. And someone else goes, shit, those guys do some real dirty work. Again, implying that George is part of some kind of special squadron, or special unit that does things like Schwartz. You know, like Schwartz was a secret unit, officially. Technically it didn't exist. Belka obviously had them in the Air Force, but Schwartz was a shadow squadron. Oh, Parfait, I'm sorry. I saw that, and I completely forgot about it. I'll imitate Bandog's line, because I don't know how to describe the Geopili in 5 words. Roper 1 lost, along with the mission. Not that it was a load worth protecting. Anyway. So... here's the problem we've run into. George's admission was cut. You know, those lines don't play. Fair game. So... can we still say this is George? Not definitively, unfortunately. You know, the website is not the game. The website is different. I know, like, you know, the websites have had lore that were not in the game. You know, 4, 5, and 0 had that especially. So can we say just because George was mentioned on the website to be involved with Trigger's incident, does that immediately say that he was the person, specifically the person who murdered Harling? Yes, in the game, in mission 4, in mission 4, a 5th F-14 shows up after Gargoyle attacks the space elevator. Or lures the drones, or whatever the fuck they were doing. Whatever the babble thing was. A 5th F-14 comes in from the west and flies behind you, very closely behind you. In the game files, it's called F-14 George. Two things about that. One, this missile does not come from that F-14. This missile spawns in midair, where, depending on your position to Mother Goose 1 when you're firing on a drone near it. Second, the framing of this cutscene is obviously designed to make you think this was the F-18, because you must know somewhere inside you did not fire the shot. And the shot came from over your shoulder, and then suddenly there's this F-18 behind you and he flies past you. Because if this F-18 was a human in Gargoyle or oh no, not in Golem Squadron, because Golem Squadron flew F-14. So if this was a Gargoyle pilot or Golem, if this was a friendly human that we already knew about, they would have obviously seen it wasn't the F-16. They would have seen it was a different plane that fired that. No. So no, like, this was not a human on our side. The framing of this cutscene is that this F-18 is who shot at Harling. You know, it's a very ominous, like everyone's freaking out over here. You're like, what the fuck just happened? And this guy's like, obviously that's what this is implying. So, and again, like, as I sinned, there's no line on the cockpit. So, Golem flew Hornets. Thank you. I was getting them mixed up. I couldn't remember which one was which. You could say he remote controlled it. There's also that possibility you are dead. Oh, sky shadowing. It's immensely telling of Project Ace's skill that this game is as great as it is for being developed in probably less than a year, basically, you know? Like, that's incredible. You know, there are certain holes that we have to deal with, but every Ace Combat game has them. When dogfighting the drones in later missions, you can't see the red line at certain angles. Solitus, fair enough. Also, that's another addition. Guys, remember the drones that pretend to be Ocean in Faceless Soldier? All of them are F-18s. Remember the drones in Last Hope and Lighthouse? They're all Su-35s, I think, 35s, or F-18s. I mean, If this was a different aircraft entirely, not an F-18, not an F-14, not an F-16, maybe. But it's... this guy just nonchalantly walking by, whistling innocently. If they had kept George's lines in, that was George. Also, you guys keep mentioning, yes, if you use the free camera mod to move the camera during this cutscene, that F-18 is Knocker's. Because the number on the side of it is Knocker's number. That being said, that's cheating because you can't see the number in the actual game. You know, we don't play the story with free camera. So the texture being Knocker doesn't mean shit. If that was the case, then my conclusion is that Knocker killed Harling. So, no, that is not Knocker. Obviously they cheated using Knocker's texture. They didn't want to retexture, which is fine, you know, because again, they framed it in such a way that you don't see the number. So that's fine. But there is no Zoe, like, there's no Copro ball in there. There's no Zoe. There's no light. So I don't know. Knocker just wanted to prank Trigger. Yeah, reusing textures and, like, placing them in certain ways, that's just good game development. Every game does that. So that's not anything, you know. Why didn't they use skin 1 of the F-18, the unmarked one? Parfait, that's not how the NPCs are designed. Skin 1 on the player's skin 1 is solely a player texture. NPC textures are completely different files. So there is no unmarked F-18 texture in the game. It just doesn't exist. What they could have done, yes, was taken the F-18 color 1, downscaled it by 50%, and then made it as an NPC texture and then put it here. But that is a lot of effort for just one aircraft when they could have just done this very clever over-the-shoulder shot that's very ominous, hide the number, who needs to do another texture, you know? Knocker did end up giving Trigger those pointers. He gave him a pointer accusing him of assassinating Harling. When your heat-seeking missile changes targets. Jesus, this is the kind of shit that really chaps my ass. I guess, Parfait. That's why they used Champ's MiG-29, because that is the only... But, you know, they could have used an Erusian MiG-29 as well. But still. We'll get to that. But this is the issue now. You know, we don't have a conclusive conclusion. You know, is this a drone or is this George? If George's confession was still in the game, this would have been obviously George. But then that also brings into question, you know, George flew an F-14. What is this shit? Because this is still showing, you know, this was the guy that shot the missile, whatever it is, drone or not. Important note about Labarth, because Labarth says they use Belkin technology to fake OC and IFF and then to assassinate Harling and put the blame on enemy fighters. The interesting thing is that those two sentences are separate. However, like the idea is that you could separate those two sentences and say they used Belkin technology to fake OC and IFF and create drones, and they also used Belkin technology to fake OC and IFF to assassinate Harling. Like, not using a drone to assassinate Harling. But everyone took that dialogue as they used OC and IFF to... they used Belkin technology to fake OC and IFF to create drones that assassinated Harling. That's how everyone understood that sequence of lines. So I don't know. George is Belkin, yeah, I know. So, you know, the Belkin, regardless of whether George or a drone shot him down, it was still a Belkin or a Belkin technology that got him. So, Skunk Face 3 and Blue Huluvu, thank you for following. Welcome to the stream. So that's the thing now. You know, we don't know who this is. If this is a drone, it's missing the lines, the indicator line. If this is George, we're missing his confession lines. They don't play. One or the other. You know, either way, this is not a conclusive moment. This is intel, right? Rumors. We're stuck on that. You know, we're stuck on an uncertainty here. And in a way, I actually like that that's how this ended up, because it's just yet another part of the theme of the game. We don't know. Maybe we'll never know. Maybe we have to be okay with that. But either way, the Belkins eventually got to Harling. They eventually killed him. But that's all there is about this. That's all the intel that I have for you on George versus Drone versus Harling. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the original story script said. I mean, probably the original story script says that George killed him, but I don't know what like the final story script that Project Aces has says about this. I don't know what's the word of God. But word of God, again, Kona would probably just say whatever you believe. And it seems that most fans believe that a drone killed Harling. You know, cut content, ripped content from game files. That's not how people play stories, you know? That doesn't explain... You know, you could talk about a PC game that way. You can't talk about a PS4 game, and you can't talk about an Xbox game like that. So to those people, you know, it's Schrodinger's cut content. Does it matter? You know, I don't know. It would be funny, Sadisha, if like members of Project Aces were split on Belka did everything wrong or Belka did nothing wrong. That would be pretty funny. I mean, I'm in the camp of everyone does everything wrong because war is hell. Oh yeah. Every game, every single game has cut content, you know? That's just a fact. So there's always plot differences, there's always different ways that the story could have gone, that missions could have gone in every single game. So, you know, I'm just thinking of... I remember I was recently looking up SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom cut content because there's a lot of it. And, you know, there's all sorts of ways. Game development is a messy business in general. So... Mr. Kulo, thank you for following. Welcome to the stream. Been listening for a few minutes, thought I should join the chat finally. Well, welcome. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at with this, you know? Does it matter? Will we ever know for sure? And does it matter if we never know? And yeah, I like if people say that cut content makes a bad game, that means that Zero is one of the worst games in the franchise, so no. That's all the information, that's all the intel I have for you guys on this scene, on who killed Harling, on who done it. We'll come back on the next episode of Clue. So
It was OG. A friendly missile hit him.
I nearly cried listening to this the first time. I need to make this clear for people who may not see it yet or hear it actually. The very first trailer we got for Ace Combat 7, Lighthouse, Straight Ahead, or Dead Ahead, or whatever. That song, that Rosgriz theme, the piano, and then the high action, that was the first version of this. A Friendly Fire. This ethereal heavenly choir. The 2015 trailer, the very first one, was Harling's death. Gah! I love Project Aces. God damn you guys. No need to mention Dr. Shredder Bear. Let's keep the FBI out of here. Have a seat, Schroeder. I've only played 7 and 6 here. Mr. Krulo, don't say like only. Consider that like a task to eventually emulate the PS2 games, the Holy Trilogy. I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline OBC. I'm welling up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sick. Thanks, Sly. What's your location? I just hope the success of 7 gives Project Aces the confidence, resources, and time needed to make 8 and make it the best in the franchise. I don't know if we'll ever have a best in the franchise. You know, the Holy Trilogy will always be the Holy Trilogy, and I think those 3 combined will always be the best. But I cannot wait to see what they have in store. And I can't wait. We're in 2020 now. This is the 25th anniversary of Ace Combat. I cannot wait to see what they have in store for us. You Are Dead, don't get me started. What was Infinity dreadful about? Because I'm gonna fight you. Infinity was an awesome game. I was the one who killed Harling. I was the one who suggested Tears of Rosgriz to Zap. He loved that name. But it was fan-made. It wasn't legit. It was always Friendly Fire.
It was OG. A friendly missile hit him.
Ace Combat 8 needs to go back to 6's gameplay and missions. No. Not the mission design. The gameplay, maybe, in certain aspects. The operation system could have been done a lot better. Press D-pad to win should not be in the game.
Verifying the situation. Stop speculating.
Oh yeah, Infinity had a lot of content.
Oh god, the Rosgriz theme. Ace Combat is supposed to be an arcade flight action game. You're not allowed to give me feels.
6 has some of the best missions in the series, my man. Like what? Are you talking about use rocket launchers to win? Liberation of Grace Maria is a pretty good mission on its own. Chandelier is a pretty good mission on its own. But all of the missions kind of blend together because they're all basically the same thing. You know? Eliminate the enemies here. Good, you've got allies. Eliminate the enemies here. Good, you've got allies. Always start at the airport. You're not allowed to start anywhere except the airport. Because you need to capture the airport. The missions were not that well designed. They were all very, very similar. There were a couple of unique missions, a couple of standout missions, but most of them were all the same. I would love to see Ace Combat 4 with a bigger focus on areas, because the areas in 4 were widespread. So you didn't accidentally start an operation somewhere. And it would have been really cool if you got like an expansion of the return line further north or further west if you got like a certain area. But no, like not how 6 did it. Oh yeah, 6 had terrible missile tracking. Like, I love that people say like, oh man, I wish the shoot thing from 6 was back. Yeah, because that's what you needed in 6. If 04 gets remastered, should the mission songs be the Infinity remixes? No. I love the Infinity remixes, but no. They should be the originals. Remaster of Air Combat 1, never.
They just killed a hero.
It's 2019.
Trigger was the
Beyond
closest.
Visual range combat is a thing. You're telling me it's impossible for anyone besides Trigger to be responsible.
Trigger was the closest. Trigger was the closest. What was with the spawns in 6 being literal centimeters apart?
All aircraft withdraw immediately.
It takes this long for an Arsenal bird to get to the space elevator? Aren't they supposed to defend the damn thing?
Tango Line is a good track.
This is how Aruja got controlled so easily.
Well, it could have been an LAM. That's exactly the point. That's beyond visual range combat. I blame the radar operator in Trigger's backseat, who is, of course, Belkin.
Trigger, you are suspected of assassinating the former president. There will be an inquiry.
One of my favorite moments, again, because of the running gag.
Court-martial.
Sure, that does make sense in this kind of situation. Of course, the F-16 has a camera equipped on the nose just for situations like this.
So any investigation of Trigger's aircraft would prove that he didn't fire the missile that shot down Harling, and another missile was responsible.
Any investigation of Trigger's aircraft would prove that we're gonna be found guilty, aren't we?
Love it.
A crook, a gambler, an anarchist. Just your typical lowlifes. They threw each one of them in a cockpit and sent them up to intercept the enemy's planes.
Ah yes, let's give the convicted felons high-tech military weapons and an escape route.
HB Mobius. You know what's really funny? Everyone's like, oh my god, I hate Annihilation missions. And then, oh my god, I love 6's missions. Pick one!
My dad died flying for the Ocean Air Force.
We know!
Being the one who had to cover the rearguard's retreat.
But then who covers the ones who covered the rearguard's retreat? And who covers them?
I'm serious, tell me! But that's, like, again, that's just another one of my joke sins. 380 sins is not real.
Said it was too late for him.
Oh, so he was an insubordinate asshole.
The rear guard.
He was sent here because he killed Harling, the president of Osea during the last war, remember?
I don't think you'd let us forget even if we tried.
He's the
Also, I need to mention, I had another cutscene here. She said, my dad volunteered to be in the rear guard. Dumbass. But then, I would have said, you just said, and then I would have played back her saying, whoever signed up for that was a real hero. She called him a dumbass, and then also said that anyone who does that is a real hero, so...
The one that sent my dad on that suicide mission.
That's bullshit.
Who's F-15 even is that?
He didn't do shit the entire war except in the final battle. Also, your dad volunteered. You said so yourself.
The next time a retreat happened, my dad volunteered to be in the rear guard.
Funny thing about that is that people are telling me, but the Rosgers documents aren't out yet, so no one knows that Harling was captured. No, he did the speech with Nicanor. He said he was captured, so... bullshit, Avril.
He's the reason I had to go live with my grandpa, and why me and Gramps started building a supersonic jet.
He sat in the Belkin Castle for a while.
I ended up here.
Okay, now you're really stretching it. Harling didn't make you build that jet.
I thought Zapland was supposed to be an isolated area.
Wasn't the point to draw the enemy's fire?
So, no missiles again.
I had another cutscene here of someone, the control tower, I think, saying, Spare 8, when you land, your ass is grass. And I was like, that control tower was not messing around in that cutscene.
The FCS is locked.
Is it even possible to remotely disable a plane's FCS? Also, who put Chad Kroger in this game?
I mean, look at him. Look at his graph. It's fucking... Oh god. Manny, Spare 15, no. He, well, we know that Trigger's 2 cannon planes are the F-16 and F-22. Everything in between is kind of up for interpretation. My interpretation is that when he's part of the Spare Squadron, he gets the F-104, because you get the F-104 and the MiG-21 for free when you get to this point in the story. So I chose, you know what, they probably would give him the shitty aircraft, give him the F-104. And then I put him into the F-15C when, with the LRSSG, until Homeward, which is when they're like, pick a fast craft and fix it how you like. I figured like that point he would go for the F-22 because they're going for broke at that point.
Settle down. Excited to have another murderer with you?
Well, at least he's honest.
Any aircraft leaving the operation area will be shot down.
Too bad we never get
Count trying to convince the court he didn't commit fraud. Look at his graph! Oh god. Look at his QAM! Count does look like Logan Paul to an extent. He does. Especially the hair. I even asked Count's voice actor when he and the three voice actors. I only remember Joe Zieja because he's been all over, but those three voice actors, when they were doing like the stream for a second before the AMA on Reddit, Count's voice actor was there, and I asked in the chat, what do you think about your character looking like Logan Paul? And he was like, I'm not even gonna touch that question. Yeah, I need a mod that replaces Count with Chad Kroger. Specifically, from that scene, look at his photograph. Greg Chun, thank you. And Calamitous, right, Brianna Knickerbocker, thank you. Now I remember them. Oh, Sadisha, you're right. We'll get to that.
get to see that threat.
Anyway.
Any aircraft leaving the operation area will be shot down.
Too bad we never get to see that threat actually play out, especially if we do try to escape.
It's a shame that, you know, if we try to escape, they're not like, everyone shoot down Trigger, he's trying to escape, or we never actually hear a spare member trying to escape and then they get shot down. Like, it's a shame we never actually hear that threat play out.
Whoever had that high-pitched scream is not trying to escape. Whoever had that high-pitched scream is not getting paid enough here.
Trigger, keep an eye on your head count. We can compare later. Yeah, I'm betting that report will get dressed up real pretty.
Why isn't the AWACS confirming the kills? It's not like this is a real furball, and in fact Bandog confirms drone kills in the next mission. How does Count ever get away with lying? Mid-mission exposition.
Trigger, don't get shut down now. I got good money riding on your survival.
Bartlett, what are you doing here?
I had an alternate take on that mission where I would have said like, damn it. I can't remember any voice actors' names anymore. Shit! How did I forget Bartlett's voice actor of all people? Someone in the chat is going to tell me. Steve Bloom, thank you. God. Ugh. I would have said something like, who put Steve Bloom in this game, but I think Bartlett was a better joke.
Did I say you could take...
Oh, in the bloopers you should have put Hamilton going, you're alive, Bartlett? I should have done that. Damn it.
Down the enemy?
You would have died.
Throw anyone who disobeys into solitary.
Excuse me?
They were such enthralling creatures.
Oops. Okay, hold on. So, yes, we're gonna make you guys listen to that line again. There was, that moment, if you let the bombers go for too long, Mackenzie's like, are you trying to kill me? But he gets cut off, and I'm like, did Bandog just shut up Mackenzie? I also tried to figure out a way to get, like, the landing sequence where there's a landing ships, where High Roller and Bandog have a bet on whether you crash or not, but I couldn't figure out a way to word that into a sim, so I decided to leave it.
One who disobeys into solitary.
Excuse me?
They were such enthralling creatures.
That's not creepy.
He didn't get those scars from flying, though.
Project Aces shoots down any Scarface theories before they can even start.
The funny thing about that is that actually, that doesn't. Because he still could have flown as Scarface. He could have gotten the nickname because of that, but eh. You want to know how I got these scars?
His real name is Mihai Dumitru Margarita Corneliu Leopold Blanca
My
Carol
favorite.
Aeon Ignatius Raphael Maria Nikitas A.
A.
Shalaji.
I'm not sinning his name. This is common in areas with such family name traditions. Hello, Spain. I mean, Sapin.
For those of you who don't know about that, the one of the trailers that we got for the DLC missions, was David watching a news broadcast, and on the broadcast,
in areas with such family name traditions. Hello,
they misspelled Sapin as Spain. So,
Spain. I mean, Sapin.
And then Kono had to apologize, but he did it as a broadcaster. He was like, "To the people of Spain, we're sorry for." No, sorry. Oh man, I messed it up. He was like, "To the people of Sapin, we're sorry for misspelling the country's name on the recent OBC News broadcast." And now for the weather.
But why the hell do they leave his second to last name at A? If it stands for Archange, like we see later in gameplay, why don't they just say that? The good doggo.
She was indeed the daughter of Erusia's new ruler.
Ah yes, the current king of Erusia, who we don't get to see, just like the current president of Osea.
They started singing. The pilots of the support plane smiled.
The character models certainly looked the best, but these singing animations really needed more work.
The two things that I think the character model... I love this game's character models. 6's character models were disgusting, and Assault Horizons were even worse. 5 was the last game that gave us good character models. 0 was recorded in real life, so that doesn't count. In-engine character models, 5 was the last one that we had any kind of semblance of these are good designed characters. Well designed. Excuse my English. Excuse their French. But I love this game's character models. They are astoundingly high quality, exceptionally beautiful, really. And when the character models move, like when they're walking or doing something, they're fluid enough. Like they seem realistic enough to me. The only issues that I have with them are this scene where they're singing and the scene where Ionella is talking or ranting at Schroeder. Is this for Belka or for Erusia? Those like movements of their mouths did not sync up very well. Then again, that's a thing in Japanese games in general, so I can't really fault Ace Combat for that. But that's my issue with the character models. Otherwise, they're beautiful. And their movements in general, their animations in general are good. So
I wonder how Mihai felt about all of this.
When the trailer came out, originally, and we saw this scene, it was the biggest joke, like... Yeah, I know, lip-syncing has to consider other spoken languages. I know, that's the issue. Like, Japanese was 6, so the English voices were not synced at all. Now here is the English voices that are synced, so the Japanese is not synced.
He just looks dead inside.
For this mission, we prepared a frontline base that can be used for ammo replenishment and aircraft repairs.
Hey, the return line...
This is not for you guys.
Aww.
Some welcome.
Wait.
I didn't realize until doing this video, it's like writing down my script, that line is a reference to McKinsey going like, did I say you could take down the enemy? Throw anyone who disobeys into solitary. I don't think they put Bandog into solitary because obviously he's the guard dog, but Um, I it seems like Mackenzie is not thankful for Bandog saving his life, and because I always wondered what does that line mean? Some welcome. That's what it meant. Like, wow, some welcome for saving your life, asshole. And that's why that's why Bandog no longer gives a shit about Mackenzie, especially in transfer orders. It never occurred to me until I was doing this video.
You guys.
Aww.
Sly, the models in 7 are great. Mihai, dead inside.
Some welcome.
Wait, so Mackenzie didn't thank Bandog for saving his life? Damn, no wonder he doesn't care about him anymore. Is Bandog a reverse tsundere? There is soon?
Battle doctrines. Something happens, they tell you what to do next.
Before this, I did have a sin about rising smoke moves with your camera, because despite the 3D clouds, smoke is still 2D sprites. So just like previous games, depending on where your camera's moving, where your plane's moving, like I mentioned in 6 with the Nimbus explosions, yeah, rising smoke and explosions, they turn with you. Because they're just sprites, they're not 3D clouds, so...
Osia has one. Let me look into this doctrine thing.
Man, you're delusional.
Random spare pilot is the one who's delusional. Osia having battle doctrines explains everything about how they could invade Belka and Yuktobania so fast. Of course they'd have a battle doctrine drawn up for every country in the world in the event of possible war.
What happens to a bat when the banker's out?
Random spare pilot is still wrong. Whoever gets the banker's possession...
I did have another sin about, I've got a bet on me getting out of this. I would have said, I guess he lost the bet, but I decided that wasn't really sin-worthy.
...would control the bet. So, in this case, Mackenzie?
Trigger, the one with the highest score wins. Let's settle who's best once and for all.
Game doesn't actually keep better score of the kills you and Count make.
The bastards who flew off are going to wish they were never born. You guys get a pass.
Bandog lying through his teeth.
You know, I've received a medal.
I had another cutscene for the debriefing of the last mission where they were like, some of you crossed the return line. And I would have replied, what if I didn't, huh? Why do I get thrown in solitary too? But the thing is I did, so...
For my ingenuity in finding a use for you cons.
They're handing out medals like candy these days.
Your so-called right to complain...
Oh yeah, the US has all battle doctrines, all drawn up.
That's not correct. Again, assuming Osia has a First Amendment.
An Osean Air Force squadron is currently entering Erusian territory for reconnaissance.
If Mackenzie didn't want the 444th to know the recon planes were checking Stonehenge, maybe they shouldn't have drawn the line going straight there.
Just saying.
Due to certain factors, their return route has been changed.
Except Bandog redirects them to the 444th base instead of... What is that? Outrange Force Base? What the hell?
Air Force Base 444 Cyclops 1.
Token black guy. Also, how can they pick up Wiseman's radio from this far away, especially with cloud interference?
I know, there's a few black men in 7, which is actually really, really awesome. We get more diversity. But still, Wiseman must be the token one.
They're investigating the ruins. That's all I know. You sure found out quick.
Tabloid doesn't pay attention to the briefing screen.
Wish we'd used that hole to get home, too. Things don't always go perfectly.
We find out later that the hole they're referring to is a hole in Aruja's auto-intercept radar net tied to the drones. But why couldn't they use it on the return trip? Also, why in the world would Osia authorize Cyclops and Strider to fly into a thunderstorm? I get why Mackenzie ordered Spare to do it, he's an ass, but anyone knows that it's a suicide mission, and if they have important recon on Stonehenge, Osia would want to keep them safe.
I had another cutscene where, I think it was Tabloid who said, "You're telling me we have to dodge lightning?" Or maybe it was Full Band. I was like, there's no lightning here, no one said anything. But no, there is lightning. Actually, even in the first part of the mission, if you fly far enough, you do run into lightning, so...
All cowards, go hide in the thunderclouds like Trigger.
Given that the thunderclouds are the most dangerous area, that's hardly the coward option.
Cyclops 1 is breaking off. He could have broken off any time if he was by himself.
He was being chased by a UAV. Who's the dumbass now?
Nice teamwork. Thanks.
What teamwork? You just stood there and took the hits.
You could have done that sooner.
Wit would be great at CinemaSins.
Spare 10 lost. Another one. One recon aircraft lost.
Again, why is Mihai choosing to play with some pilots and just vaporize others instantly?
Last Force craft flying out of bounds.
What determines out of bounds? I know we have the red outline, but the actual characters don't.
Do they?
They've got 2 rear guard. A bit of a spine.
More impressive than Trigger holding back Mihai is the fact that Tabloid is holding back both Wit and Seymour. That detail just gets glossed over, I guess.
If you try to fire on Wit and Seymour enough, Tabloid's like, go get the other guy, I'm not good enough. But Wit and Seymour are seasoned pilots on their own, so you know it's impressive that Tabloid could hold them both back, but no one gives a shit.
Mihai is a masochist.
I think they've actually patched this subtitle to get rid of that stray V right before the first warning. So this is actually not even updated.
Schroeder is a complete dick to have the AI yell at Mihai during the entire dogfight. Mihai does not teach them how to do that, and they end up being pretty simple to shoot down.
I think you can to obtain does still exist.
Well, apparently lightning strikes barely affect you in this game outside of your HUD and a small drop in altitude, so that's really not unusual.
If you guys pay very, very close attention to my ammo, my score, and the timer in certain situations, you'll know when I had to re-record something. Getting Mihai to do the line about lightning took me maybe 5 tries or more. It was really, really difficult to get that line to trigger. But I managed it, so. Distant Echo, I'm sorry I didn't see you until now. Thank you for following. Welcome to the stream.
Why is that an issue now? The clouds have been here the entire time, and lightning is barely a threat.
Trigger, kindness gets you killed.
Counts want to talk since he didn't even try to enter that dogfight.
Reminds me of a story Gramps told me once. He said a little while before he retired from active duty, he saw an enemy fighter wipe out an entire formation right in front of him.
And Avril's grandfather survived Mihai how exactly?
I mean, how?
There's 3 extra planes here.
I thought there were 7?
Oh, wait.
A drink later.
How? You're in prison.
Can someone tell me how she managed that?
Weird. Nothing like what I expected.
You were the one who called him
an anarchist with no balls. Talked a mile a minute and kept going on and on about library books. Not encyclopedias.
We spend a good minute on adventure novels for no reason.
3 white lines, do they signify something? Yeah, I couldn't figure out a sin to write for that, so.
Knew that burnt smell. That's what happens when an engine's been driven to its limit.
Like, are we positive that this was an F-15? Because if so, then yeah, that means that Trigger's had an F-15 until he gets an F-22. And since he came to the spare base, so.
Or it was hit by lightning. How
I didn't even notice.
Smell differently depending on the pilot.
Those of you whose food privileges were taken away.
Isn't that torture?
I did have another cutscene where Avril said, I decided to give his plane a bit of the old Avril magic touch. He needed all the help he can get. That's the cutscene where we get the Queen's Custom part. My sin was, without Trigger knowing, wouldn't the plane feel differently, potentially causing less performance in combat for a while? I mean, I know it can fly anything, but still seems like a dick move. But I cut it.
Champ went down crying like a baby.
We were all there. Literally everyone can call bullshit on you.
I've got more bad news.
That implies that Bandog gave us some bad news to start with.
Hey, Trigger, why do you think this stupid war keeps dragging on? Here he goes. It's all because countries exist. Shouting that and throwing a rock is what got me in here.
Avril's right. Discount Pixie definitely has no balls.
The funny thing is that Tabloid is actually like an honorable character, more so than Pixie. Because Pixie took the option of killing civilians, whereas Tabloid ended up like foregoing any of his ideals to help people, and that's honorable on its own.
This line implies that they're just bringing the trucks out now, but when the mission update starts, half of the trucks are almost off the map already.
HQ saw them on satellite.
Why? Most AWACS in Ace Combat somehow can see what each plane is looking at, so why would HQ need satellite observation over this
Exactly,
area right
Captain.
now? Especially since there's a sandstorm over the area that would block satellite coverage.
Even in sand, you can lock on if you get close enough.
Yeah, but what happens when some of that sand gets caught in the intakes?
They pave desert highways nicely, you know? People drive fast to avoid bandits in the desert.
This area isn't inhabited by civilians, and even if it was, how would Tabloid know about bandits here?
A cat doesn't have enough lives to carry out your orders.
That is absolutely my favorite line in the whole damn game. Knock off a sin.
Now I'm actually not sure. It's either that line or 3 strikes in the sky? Hi shit, meet fan.
Shut the hell up. This has nothing to do with me. You guys are celebrating.
How in the world does that sound like celebration?
Trigger, I need support, now!
Enough of this Trigger bullshit.
Bandog would be great at CinemaSins.
You made me down. Was that Trigger?
Alright, we might just get out of this alive.
Don't tell me you're
I'm gonna skip through this.
Telling the player to stop attacking the drones and go after the trucks. But what if Trigger's actually trying to clear the drones so he can stop getting shot at?
Well, Chow, that's why I put it in the video.
That cheers me up. Not that I give a rat's ass. You sound like you know something. I don't just give intel away for free.
Full Band implies here that he knows about Helios, but in the next mission he keeps quiet about it when they show up.
I think there's also a line from Count where either Count or Tabloid with the other blue explosion where they ask, what was that explosion? And I think Bandog says concentrate. And I had a sin for that, saying Count actually asks about the crazy blue explosion, but Bandog, like everyone in the IUN in Mission 2, chooses to ignore it. But I couldn't get it to trigger. I could have sworn I heard it, but I could not get it to trigger again, so I don't know.
The only reason you're here is to atone for your crimes by...
Oh, also, there was another line that I couldn't get the trigger either. Don't you go doing a tabloid on me. I'm positive I've heard that one. But it's a random spare member that says that. And my sin was, why does he say that like it's a bad thing? Tabloid's making the decision to stick with the person who's gonna stay alive. But I couldn't find, I couldn't get that line to happen either, so.
Carrying out missions.
I don't know if anyone noticed that I put a chuckle thing there when I heard the chuckle in the left ear.
The only reason you're here is to atone for your crimes by carrying out missions.
Well, you sit on your ass and get medals.
You, solitary, now.
I mean, he had a point. I'm surprised McKinsey is getting any kind of recognition for the pilot's deeds when the main Ocean force barely knows about the Penal Squadron.
In this mission, you're going into Erusian territory.
As if we haven't been doing that for the last 3 missions.
Not in using a trick any amateur could think of. Picked up a bunch of intel.
Yeah, we know. All of these drone fighters have bright red lines on their cockpits, but apparently no one in Spare Squadron can see that.
Why didn't you sin Faceless S rank? Just didn't occur to me to sin an S rank.
Modern IFF connects to our strategic system via satellites. It can't be decoded.
Except Avril said that was the whole reason the penal base existed, to trick Erusia's satellites, which were Osean satellites that they hacked. So how is it surprising that Erusia could spoof Osea's IFF, which is based on Osean satellites that Erusia's already hacked?
Another cutscene here was Bandog saying, "These guys aren't allies," and I was like, "Wow, way to catch up, Bandog."
Hey, the enemy's working in coordination.
Another hint that no one in Spare picks up on to realize they're fighting drones.
What about markings and craft type?
There's no time!
In Ace Combat, there's always time, which is exactly why no one picking up on the red lights makes no sense. How nice of the UAVs to hold their fire while Spare Squadron does their heroic stick with trigger moment.
Projectile incoming.
How did that Spare guy say new blips on radar? How did he see
How
anything?
did that random Spare pilot see
How did he
blips
see
from
anything?
Helios when they're still way too far off and we can't see them ourselves?
Arsenal birds?
Random Spare pilot, for some reason, is unaware that Erusia has control of the Arsenal birds.
Another cutscene that I put right after this one was also how nice of the Arsenal birds to hold their powerful long-range missile until mission 9. You know, after we already saw them in 2 previous missions.
Damn, you're working quick today, Bandog.
Get too chatty and you'll die.
Oh, now Bandog cares?
How can they fire like that when they've got allies in the airspace? Don't they care about the pilots?
Yet another hint about them being drones, but nope, still nothing.
Count. 1 to go. Go get him.
If Osea's IFF is integrated with the entire system, how did Bandog show Full Band as an enemy on Count's radar but not anyone else's?
You did that on purpose, Bandog.
Did what?
If Bandog was trying to hide Full Band's death as an IFF accident, he really shouldn't have gone with that tone.
Thank you. Right before this, there were 2 other sins that I had that got cut. Right after Count shoots down Full Band, he's like, "I got the last one." Another Spare pilot in the background says, "You like that, you dirty fake?" I thought he said, "You like that, you dirty freak." And my sin was, whoa, random Spare pilot needs to calm down. So no, he didn't say dirty freak, he said dirty fake. But that would have been funny if he said, "You like that, you dirty freak?" And then Full Band, when he dies, he goes, "Damn it, god damn it, why does this..." And my sin was Full Band's voice actor asks why his recording studio always puts him in Air Force roles that will kill his character. Because Joe Zieja has said that this is not the first time he's played someone in the Air Force who is then killed, so...
Hold on, Count. It looks like your kill numbers are going up every day. You know what happens by giving false reports.
Did Count actually say shooting down Full
You
Band
like
was
that,
a
you
legitimate
degenerate
kill
freak.
on his record?
Anyway, you other pilots should learn from him.
What, to give false reports? McKinsey's contradicting himself here.
We've been ordered to pack everything up and move the base further inland.
How is Tyler Island further inland?
We even got a transport plane.
Looks like a lot more than just one.
I mean, there's like at least 3 there.
Tell us the airfield's being used as a base to support the elevator.
Sadisha, I'm not sure about that, but I think you do hear at least one of those lines. I've never heard about cut lines about them not being able to eject, but I'm pretty sure like one of the Spare pilots mentions that they can't eject during the Helios fight. If you don't shoot down the drones for long enough, you get more lines, obviously.
Not sure if I trust that intel.
How would you not trust that intel? In fact, you seem to know so much about Harling and the space elevator's construction. How would you not be aware of Tyler Island's importance?
Anyway, the transport plane's gonna drop us there. Without any fighters to cover us.
It's well known that Erusia controls the space elevator. How are they expecting to get through without getting shot down by anti-air or other fighters? What are they doing with all of the fighter aircraft still here at the base? More fingernail playing.
And prisoners don't get guns.
So how are they expecting to do battle against Erusia on the ground?
Planning escapes ain't all I'm good at. I'm plenty good at remembering phone numbers, too.
By that logic, Avril cannot remember a single phone number to save her life. Seriously, how is she good at planning escapes? She was caught every time. Mackenzie's first name is Dick, and no one can tell me otherwise.
I mean,
A little while later.
come on, you can't tell me. Like, no one can tell me otherwise. His first name is Dick, absolutely.
I headed over to HQ.
How did no one spot a prisoner just waltzing over to the base commander's office? In fact, how did no one spot her hooking up a phone and making a call?
That pipe, what exactly are you doing with it?
What pipe?
Can someone explain that to me? What pipe is he talking about?
Why does Mackenzie look like General LePlan from the back, but like a bald asshole from the front? He even has more hair in this cutscene than in the mission portrait. And look, he's even wearing glasses in the cutscene.
This is obviously LePlan. Why did they make him look completely different in the portrait? Just go all the way. Just use LePlan for the portrait. I don't know why they made him look like that. Why they made him look like Mackenzie. But they obviously just used the model from Assault Horizon, without a doubt. I'm curious what would happen if we use the... No, these are pre-rendered cutscenes. You can't use the free camera mod here. I don't know, though. I don't know. Captain, I think he means the phone. What are you talking about? Like, pipe. No one calls a phone a pipe.
How are there so many inmates at a penal base that they have so many large binders of their names?
Earlier in this briefing, he says the Ocean Air Force Base 444 Squadron is now officially legit. I had a cutscene saying, and now we're going to transfer you to a base where the number won't make sense anymore. Because they're not even 444 anymore, you know?
The battle is underway.
Like they're not prisoners.
The south has been reclaimed.
We find out later that this is all bullshit and misinformation, but how? At this point in the game, OCS satellites are still in operation, so why is this a totally different briefing than what's actually going to greet them?
We will be stopping to refuel in Bulgurdarest. It's in Erusian territory, with close ties to Osea.
If all command personnel are being temporarily sent to North Point, you can't tell me that Osea doesn't have refueling tankers to spare. Why would they risk any of them in Erusian territory just to refuel?
For what it's worth, we actually don't even know if Bulgurdarest is just a city or that entire country there. We have no idea.
Hey, Trigger, wait right there.
Although it seems to imply that it's a city because they said it's in Erusian territory. So the idea is that maybe Erusia has taken over the country around it, but Bulgurdarest is staying neutral.
Mackenzie singles Trigger and not Count, even though Count will also be joining us. Why does Mackenzie restart the briefing software instead of just holding it where it was to show Trigger the enemy placements?
You breathe in a way I don't like, and I'll shoot you out of the damn sky.
How are you going to do that in a transport?
Well, Trigger, this is where we part ways.
Just roll down the window.
I hope we meet again in different squadrons.
The base ATC had better...
Yeah, Calamitous, I wasn't going to send that because I don't know what they were going for. I don't know which one is supposed to be correct, Borgo del Est or Bulgurdarest. I could have sent it. I could have just said, like, there shouldn't be an inconsistency in the first place. But someone mentioned that maybe one is an Ocean way of saying it and the other is a Eucian way of saying it. I don't know.
Better character development than the entire first quarter of the game.
So the liaison plane left without me.
Avril, for some reason, did not care enough to make sure she was on the transport. That was a complete waste of both a phone opportunity and an entire cutscene.
And her life.
If the con's here and the dumbass prison guards are going, why shouldn't I?
Probably because you're going straight to hell.
I had another cutscene here where I sinned her lines. It's not going to be a picnic, that's for sure. Adios, you damn fool. And I was like, that dialogue means a whole lot of nothing.
Staff office seems to have the impression you didn't kill Harley, Trigger. The court at destination will reopen your case.
What, did they finally realize that planes have cameras? I'm really curious what took the GSO 2 months to reopen the case, especially when Trigger would have been rightfully found innocent the first time.
Someone mentioned that, what if the GSO, like, what happened to that? You know, we don't hear anything more about the case being reopened ever again. So, yeah, that is a plot thread that kind of went nowhere, but I'm willing to forgive it because we basically are exonerated after we join the LRSSG, after we do all of this for Osea. You know, we've lasted this long for Osea, we've done so much good for them. And then by mission 16, we're totally exonerated. So I feel like that didn't really need to go any further. But, you know, Trigger was still useful. And, you know, the Alicorn stuff as well.
Flying as an escort makes me feel like I'm all tied down.
McKinsey doesn't know that Trigger didn't kill Harling. Remember, what he said in one of the briefings was, it doesn't even matter if he's Harling's murderer or not. He's been convicted. So, he doesn't care, really. But the General Staff Office requested Trigger because they wanted to reopen his case.
Count finally says what everyone thinks about escort missions.
The next missile will down your craft, so watch your tail.
This line plays whether or not it's true.
I mean, it does.
Osea is our brother nation. We should help them.
The subtitles labeled these speakers as Osean Ground Unit, which is obviously false. Bulgurdorest isn't Osean. They're friendly to Osean forces, but officially they're neutral.
Flares! Release all the flares!
I don't know how that looked in Japanese, but I don't think... It probably wasn't any different. I think, like, some things in the Japanese version of the game is still, like, listed in English. So, it was probably the same thing there. It probably just said Osean Ground Unit, but those aren't Osean units in Bulgurdorest.
That's not how flares work. You can't just release them all at once. There's that good old Zoe emblem. Long time no see. You know, since Infinity.
Take down the bandits.
Bandits? There's only one.
How are each of the LRSSG's planes going to be in Homeward, then, if everyone chooses their own instead of just Trigger? I don't understand your question, so that dare is easy. XO2 Wyvern is my baby. 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 And XO2 Wyvern is my goddamn baby.
Ordinarily.
Holy shit, they got Jameson Price back for the briefings. My question from my video on Ace
None of those pronunciations were correct.
Is he playing an
Done.
actual person who
Perfect.
Jameson called to the original Kestrel? Or is it a text-to-speech program?
We wanted to collect data on its capabilities, but that's gone out the window now, hasn't it?
Well, you could do something the IUN didn't do. Actually use Trigger's plane camera to investigate the drone.
Your commander has been transferred to a different post. He's probably headed to the front lines, where things are hottest. Well, he did stress his achievements.
Damn, we actually got payback on McKinsey. This game deserves sins off just for that.
We've discovered that the intercept...
Alright, guys, I am going to cut the stream here. We'll split this into 2 streams. We'll continue tomorrow. I'm feeling sick, and I'm feeling really tired, and I'm feeling exhausted, and I didn't even do anything except sit here and talk for almost 4 hours. I'm sorry. I will be posting this archive on YouTube as well as the next one, so don't worry, like, you won't miss anything. If you missed any part of this, you can go back and watch it when I put it on YouTube. Again, I'm sorry that, you know, I couldn't stay here for longer and keep going with you guys, but I feel terrible. I think it's time for me to take some more Dayquil anyway. I want to thank all of you guys for watching, for supporting me. Remember, if you have Twitch Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, you can connect it to your Twitch account, and you get a free subscription every month. I would really love it if and appreciate it if you chose to support me with that. Other than that, I think that's it for now. We'll continue this behind the scenes look at everything wrong with 7 tomorrow. More cutscenes, more comments about my own sins, more making up with errors and looking at comments on the video and all that kind of thing. So remember also my Discord server. That's where I announce when I'm live. That's where I announce any like updates to my schedule or anything that's going on. So make sure you join that if you want to keep in contact. Other than that, that's it for now. Thank you guys again so much for all your support. Thank you for enjoying the video. And I'll see you guys in the next stream. Good night, and to those of you who are also dealing with sickness, I hope you get better. I hope everyone's 2020 is off to a good start. Welcome to the new decade, and good night to all. I'll see you all next time. Bye.